All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live for the NFL draft round one. 20 minutes after it started, and we've got one pick in, and that is my boy Baker Mayfield to the Cleveland Browns. Guys, I'm not a big fan of the fact that Sashi Brown was fired. I think that he was doing an incredible job of building a very talented top to bottom roster. But Sashi left this franchise in a damn near unbreakable position, and John Dorsey made an excellent choice with the first overall pick, the best quarterback in this class, based on my numbers, based on my observations, based on my opinion in general. Baker Mayfield is going to go down, whether this is an actual true fact or not. He is going to go down as the franchise quarterback that changed the Browns franchise going forward. He is going to be the quote unquote savior of the Cleveland Browns as a team, as a franchise. He's going to be that dude. What do you think, John?
Well, partner, I actually have to ask you, because I heard the analysts talking about Baker Mayfield, and they talked about potentially like his own worst enemy could be himself. They talked about some off-field issues that I don't know anything about. I don't know if you know anything about that. Do you think this is a guy that's going to be able to live up to the potential, to live up to the value that they've put on him with the first draft pick in the first round of the draft? You know, they popped the cherry, so to speak, on this dude. Do you think he's going to be able to live up to that valuation and not get in his own way?
I think that the off-field issues are very much overblown. There was one incident where he might have been arrested for public intoxication, and he tried like running away from the cops or something, but that was when he was like 19, 20 years old, I think. And he's like 23 now, so I think he's matured since then. And even if it was more recent and I don't know about it, I think it was a one-time off-field incident that I wouldn't put any real stock into. I don't think that there's been a trend of him having character issues. I think it was just a one-off thing. He made a bad decision. He's probably learned from it. I don't buy into the off-field shit with Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield is going to be an exceptional quarterback, even despite the fact that he's on the Browns. And really, the Browns' offense right now is pretty freaking loaded, but right now the Giants are picking.
Let's see who they pick.
Josh Rosen, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, okay. So the Giants, this is not surprising. This doesn't surprise me one bit. This is a very Dave Gettleman pick. I had the Giants taking Barkley, but I actually had them trading out of the second pick down to number 5 and still getting Barkley. They decided that trading down wasn't worth the risk, or maybe just wasn't worth whatever offers they might have been coming in for the second overall pick. I projected that the Broncos would actually trade up to number 2 to get Josh Allen, because I think Josh Allen is the guy in this draft that the Broncos GM John Elway wants most. But I still had the Giants getting Barkley, and I'm not surprised one bit by this. Now, I do think that drafting a running back in general early is a terrible idea because the running game is so much less important than the passing game in the NFL. But if you are going to have to make an early running back pick, Barkley is the exact kind of guy you should be picking early, because he is an absolutely dynamic receiver out of the backfield. He can line up in the slot. He's amazing at running routes. He's got amazing hands. He changes the way defenses have to try and defend you. So even though I'm not a fan of drafting running back early, I can make a little bit of an exception knowing that the specific running back in question was an absolutely prolific receiver, changes your passing game, and has retarded levels of athletic ability to go with it. And he's built like a workhorse. He's 6 feet tall, 233 pounds. He's got that thick lower body that you look for in a stout, every down type running back. Barkley is the first really elite running back the Giants have had since Tiki Barber, who you might not even know of, John.
Tiki Barber sounds vaguely familiar, but yeah, I mean, you and I watched tape of Barkley together, and I think the dude's a beast. I think it's a great investment. I mean, and speaking of investment, that was something else I was going to ask you about Baker Mayfield and now I guess Saquon Barkley. Is how soon do you think these respective teams, the Cleveland Browns and the the Giants,
The Browns took Baker Mayfield. The Giants just took Saquon Barkley.
How soon do you think they're gonna get a return on those investments? Because I think you're gonna get a return sooner, right, on a running back than you would a quarterback.
Absolutely, Barkley, you're gonna see a return on that immediately. Unfortunately, the Giants' offensive line isn't great, so I don't expect Barkley to be this amazing, prolific runner. in his first year, but that's not why you draft a guy like Barkley. You draft a guy like Barkley because on those like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 15 kind of plays, Barkley's the guy that you can dump it down to 5 yards down the field and he runs for the first down. He is that dude. Barkley is the kind of guy that changes an entire offense, not just the running part of it. And really, I don't think Barkley is an exceptional runner. I think that his real value is in the passing game, but the big thing for him is he is a freaky athlete, so he'll be able to make the most out of what's blocked for him. And he also has the build where you can feed him 300 times in a season, and I don't think he's got the body type that would break down from that kind of workload. So Barkley is definitely a guy that you'll be seeing an immediate return on investment. The Browns, though, interesting thing about Baker Mayfield, I think Baker Mayfield is ready to win right now. I think Baker Mayfield could win the starting quarterback job this year if he's given a legitimate opportunity. But interestingly enough, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns has already come out and said that Tyrod Taylor, who they just got for, I think they traded a pick for him, or they might have picked him up out of free agency. I think they traded a pick for him from the Bills. So Tyrod Taylor has already been announced as the Browns' 2018 starting quarterback. I'm fully expecting that to change. But if they really want to be stubborn and they really want to sit the rookie, I guess then Baker is going to have to wait to start, but I really think Baker is their best shot at winning right now.
All right. Well, the Jets are on the clock. We'll see who they pick in the first round.
A few weeks ago, maybe even a month or two ago, the Jets traded up from 6 to 3, knowing that there was going to be a quarterback available for them to pick. I think the best possible option for them here is Sam Darnold, but I kind of have a feeling they're not going to go with Darnold. I think they might go with Rosen. I think they like Josh Rosen. If you're a Jets fan, you have to be hoping that it's Darnold, because to me, Sam Darnold is the next best quarterback in this class after Baker Mayfield, who's gone. So yeah, Jets, if they know what's best, if they pay attention to the numbers, if they pay attention to any kind of analytics regarding quarterbacks whatsoever, I think their best option here is Sam Darnold.
All right, now let's, do you mind if I ask you a question looking a bit ahead in round one here?
No, absolutely. Go for it.
We know that, the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, they will be picking last. It actually kind of puts a smile on my face to see the New England Patriots pick second to last, but I don't keep my bias out of it. You know, you're the Eagles, you're coming off of a Super Bowl win, you're feeling the momentum, you want to keep that headspace, you're the defending champion. Like, you have that swag, if you get what I'm saying. What's the first big power play you make in round one, knowing that you're the last team to pick? What do you need to maintain that momentum, to maintain that scheme that made you champions in your mind?
Here's my thing about the Eagles. The Eagles have very, very few weaknesses, holes, gaps on their roster. So really, they can afford to take a luxury pick, or they can afford to trade out of the first round entirely if they want to either pick up a pick in next year's draft, or if they just want to trade their 32nd overall pick for a player that will help them win right now. The Eagles could be two-peat Super Bowl champions, or three-peat, or, just repeat in general Super Bowl champions, because they have a very strong roster. But I think the most likely picks are either an offensive tackle, because their left tackle, Jason Peters, is like going on 40. And even though he is a freaky athlete, he's not going to play forever, and they might want to replace him, or a running back, because right now they are using what is called a running back by committee. Basically means that it's like a Franken running back. Like, they use this running back for that job, this running back for that job, that running back for this other job. And they just kind of use this amalgamation of running backs to do whatever they need. But I think that there's a chance that they could be like, well, screw that. We want one guy that can do it all. And if that was the case, I think that the most likely pick would be Darius Geis out of LSU.
Now let's go to chat here, because we got two different questions from people. And, actually, I think the Jets are about to make their pick. So we'll talk about that pick, and then we'll go to chat questions.
Yep, here we go. Jets selection. Here comes Roger Goodell out to the stand. Of course, not only does he get booed, but the Jets selection gets booed every year regardless. So this is going to be interesting. Just a warning here for headphone users. If it's Josh Allen, I'm laughing. Oh, good. They went Darnold. Good for you, Jets. The Jets went with Sam Darnold. Very smart decision, I think. John, you might be familiar with Jameis Winston, the Buccaneers quarterback. I compare Darnold to Jameis Winston. I think that they're very similar, very similar quarterbacks. Both, I think Jameis Winston was a 21-year-old rookie. Sam Darnold's going to be a 21-year-old rookie. Both of them declared for the draft after their redshirt sophomore seasons. Both of them had a little bit of a downtick as redshirt sophomores compared to their redshirt freshman season. Darnold and Winston's redshirt freshman seasons were both exceptional, and then they played a little bit worse the year following just because, regression to the mean seems inevitable. And when you have that amazing of a season, there's nowhere to go but down. Darnold, in his last season in USC, had very similar problems to what Jameis Winston had in his last season at Florida State. He struggled reading underneath coverage. He threw a few too many interceptions. But on the whole, if you look at the big picture, if you really look at Sam Darnold's entire resume and not just his 2017 season, he is, to me, the second best quarterback in this class behind Baker Mayfield. This is a great pick for the Jets. And frankly, I'm proud that the first two quarterbacks have gone in order who I think the best and second best quarterbacks were in this class. I'm very happy, not only that I saw things the same way that the NFL general manager saw them, but really I'm proud of the NFL for figuring it out in my eyes. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. So I guess now that that's been answered, I know Racist Fan Rocks asked, who do you think the Jags will draft? And I'm going to kind of update that question a little bit. What do the Jags need?
Yeah, the thing with the Jaguars, it's funny because I see a lot of mock drafts being a tight end to the Jaguars at 29, and that makes no sense to me because the Jaguars just signed Austin Seferian-Jenkins, who's amazing. Austin Seferian-Jenkins is such an underrated tight end, and he just had this huge breakout season with the Jets, who had just picked Sam Darnold. And he played great for the Jets. He would have had like 6 touchdowns if it wasn't for some bullshit officiating calls that have basically been reversed over the offseason with changes to rules. And I love Austin Seferian-Jenkins, so I don't think the Jets or the Jaguars need a tight end. I think the Jaguars at this point need to focus on ensuring that their offensive line is as good as it could possibly be. And the good news for them is the interior offensive line class this year is immaculate. So I think their best choices are either Isaiah Wynn out of Georgia or alternatively Will Hernandez, a UTEP kid who is probably the best pure power guard in this class and will most likely be there at 29. But there's a chance that Hernandez could go a little earlier than that. I'm seeing reports that there are some teams in the early 20s that like Hernandez a lot. So we'll see.
Now, you know what? I mainly just out of curiosity, we talked about the Eagles and the Super Bowl champions. You actually gave them to me high praise, saying that their game's pretty much, covered, that they could just win another year and get a better pick for next year, or they could just do whatever. Let's talk about the dynasty team real quick. Let's talk about the Patriots real quick. Didn't win the Super Bowl. They fell to the Eagles. What do you think they need? And what do you think they'll go with if those two things don't necessarily align? Because we've seen that with the Falcons, where you and I may think that they need something and they go a different direction. So what are you thinking when you look at the Patriots to me?
The Patriots are actually in an interesting position this year because they actually have 2 first-round picks. They traded, I think, Brandon Cooks to the Rams and got a first-round pick from the Rams in return. So they're picking not only at 31, which you knew about, but they're also picking at 23. So they have 2 first-round picks. And there are rumors that they'll trade up to get a quarterback of the future to back up Brady and replace him when he retires, but I don't buy into that hype. I think the most likely option is that they just use their picks to restock because right now they do have legitimate holes on their roster, and specifically, they need a franchise left tackle. They just lost Nate Solder over the offseason to the Giants. That's huge. They need a linebacker or 2. They need edge rush help. I think that the Patriots have more holes on their roster than people realize.
I don't want to press the issue and be a shitstorm. I mean, I am taking this very seriously. But when you say holes, are we seeing a dynasty crumble here?
Yes. Answer is that yes. I genuinely do think that the Patriots quote unquote dynasty, we might have seen the last of it when they beat the Falcons last year. I think that might have been the dying breath of the Patriots dynasty. I don't think they're going to win another Super Bowl in the current regime. Now, granted, I could just be wrong and they could just go and win the damn thing next year. But based on if you're reading the signals and if you're kind of paying attention to what's going on and how things are falling, I kind of am getting the feeling that the Patriots are getting a little too big for their britches. They're getting a little arrogant. They're starting to think, it doesn't really matter if we have really good players as long as the system is still in place, even though their system was proven to be inferior to the Eagles system in the Super Bowl. But never mind that, right? Yeah, I think that the Eagles are right now looking more like the dynasty of the next few years than the Patriots are.
See, and I ask you that because as the casual football fan, right, and then seeing both hardcore and casual football fans alike, and please do interrupt me when they're ready to make a pick because we do want to keep it current. But I do notice that the dynasty of the Patriots have kind of like drove a lot of football fans away, at least according to their words. They could just be like wrestling fans where they vent, but then they come back anyway. But even taking that at face value, that the Patriots were driving people away, this could be an exciting time for the NFL, seeing this dynasty crumble and then it just being up for grabs. Like, will the Eagles take that spot? Will another team step up and really start playing? I mean, even people were impressed with Jacksonville that they got as far as.
Yeah, I was going to say right now there's a real like arms race in the NFC between the Eagles and the Rams. Those two teams are absolutely stacked right now, and they just keep loading up and just adding more and more talent. It's crazy. Like, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, and they have since added Michael Bennett. They re-signed Alshon Jeffrey. They just keep getting better. And meanwhile, the freaking Rams, they made it to the playoffs. They had the best offense in the league. And even though they lost Sammy Watkins, who I know you love, they did replace him with Brandon Cooks from the Patriots. And they've added an amazing pair of corners from the Chiefs. And I forget from the Broncos. They added Marcus Peters from the Chiefs and Aqib Talib from the Broncos. They added Ndamukong Suh, who's one of the best defensive tackles in the league, to pair with their already Hall of Fame worthy defensive tackle Aaron Donald. Their defense looks absolutely crazy. Their offense is going to regress, and they probably knew that was coming, so they're stacking up the defense to make up for it. So there's like an NFC arms race right now between the Rams and the Eagles. And the Patriots really do, in a way, kind of feel like they're falling behind. Now, granted, that scheme is probably going to keep them in the playoffs, but now the Jets have Sam Darnold, and in a year or two, I think that the Jets might actually win the AFC East from the Patriots. And now Browns are picking 4th overall. I'm amazed that the Browns are actually making this selection. I thought they would trade back out of this shot, but they are making a pick here, and they are going to be picking Denzel Ward, the cornerback out of Ohio State. I actually thought that they would pick him, but I thought they would get him 12th overall. I thought they would trade back with the Bills because I thought the Bills were going to try and trade up to get their quarterback of the future. The Browns staying at 4, taking Denzel Ward, the guy that I had them taking at 12. So that's actually 2 times now that I projected trade downs from teams where they would get somebody, and they ended up getting that exact same person. They just reached for him. They just traded. They just didn't trade down for him. They just said, well, fine. If you don't want to offer us the kind of value that we want to trade down, we're just going to stay put and get our guy anyway. So the Giants got Barkley at 2 without trading down. The Browns got Ward at 4 without trading down. I like Denzel Ward. I think that's a great pick. I think he's going to be a good player. He is a freaky athlete, and hey, man, the Browns needed a corner opposite Jamar Taylor. I don't think they necessarily want to be starting EJ Gaines or Brian Body Calhoun. So Denzel Ward makes a lot of sense. And hell, since we're talking about Ohio State corners, last year, Marshawn Lattimore was an incredible slam dunk pick for the Saints, went to the exact same college as Denzel Ward, both coming out of Ohio State. So maybe now there's just a mentality in the NFL that Ohio State is where you go to get shut down corners. And Denzel Ward certainly does have the athletic traits to be just that.
We seem to be speaking highly of Denzel Ward, but do you think that they could have waited? Do you feel like there was somebody better that the Browns could have picked in this spot and that Ward would have been waiting for him, had they chosen to pick later as you thought?
Well, no, but the thing is, you can't choose to pick later unless there's another team willing to give you a proper amount of compensation to trade with you. You can't just like wait. I mean, you technically could just wait, but it doesn't change anything. It really is kind of pointless to just not pick. So the Browns, they don't have another pick now in the entire first round. They're done for the day. Their next pick is 33rd overall tomorrow, the first pick. So, and no, Denzel Ward definitely would not have been available by then. That's why I still think that it was a good pick because there's no way Ward would have been available at their next pick. And if they couldn't get a trade down done, you can't get on their case for that. I see Darius Frazier in chat said something about Chubb. I think that Bradley Chubb is going to be one of the next 2 or 3 picks. I don't think he's falling at all. I think he's going exactly where he should go. And if you want to say, oh, well, why didn't the Giants pick him? Maybe it's because he wins in very similar ways to the way the guy that they already have, Olivier Vernon, wins. They both win with power. They're both power guys. So maybe they wanted to wait a little bit. Maybe in the second round, they want to go after more of a speed rusher, someone that wins with, speed burst bend around the edge rather than the power guys. Cause you don't necessarily want to have two of the exact same type of edge rusher on your defensive line as your starters. It becomes redundant, and only one of them is ever going to win it at a time. So really, it makes sense to wait and get a speed guy instead of a power guy. Chubb's a power guy. So anything else?
No, I'm just I've got my stream here. I think it's kind of frozen up on me a little bit. I gotta refresh it because I was gonna ask you whoever's coming up. Okay, we've got, who is that? Not that's not the Buccaneers. Who is that logo?
Oh, coming up 5th overall is the Broncos, Denver.
The Broncos, that's it. Okay, so where do you think the Broncos are going to go, and what do they need? What do you think the best pick would be for them in the first round?
Well, interestingly enough, the Broncos do need a quarterback, but I don't think that there are necessarily any quarterbacks that are actually worth the 5th overall pick anymore. With Mayfield and Darnold both off the board, I think any quarterback that you take at this point would be a reach. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went with one anyway, either Josh Rosen or Josh Allen, one of the Joshes. The two quarterbacks that I think are the most overrated quarterbacks in this class, in Rosen and Allen. Josh Rosen, I think, is a talented kid, but I think people overlook a lot of his flaws just because he has kind of the tools that you would expect to be able to translate to an amazing player, even if he hasn't necessarily kind of expressed those tools and really had it all come together for him yet. It's one of those things where he's got this great arm, great quick release. He's really good at reading defenses. He's got a lot of really great traits, but he's never really put it all together into really elite play. He's been very good in college, but I think you can make an argument that his best season in college was his freshman season, and he just never really got better after that.
I see. All right. Well, we shall see where the Broncos go. Looking further, we've got Miami, Buffalo, Washington, Green Bay, and Arizona coming up, like it's the next big batch. Let's talk about the Redskins a little bit, because I know that's a team that's always going to be in the spotlight, not necessarily.
Well, I think you skipped a few teams, because 6th overall is the Colts, and then 7 is Tampa Bay, and then 8 is Chicago, and then 9 is San Francisco, and then 10 is Oakland. And
well, you know what? Let's step back then. Let's talk about Tampa Bay, because they are a division rival to our Falcons, which I haven't talked about the Falcons yet, because I really do want to explore other teams first. I don't want this to be like a Falcon-centric thing. How do you think Tampa Bay is going to go today? Like what position do you think they're going to
fill? I think it's most likely they go defensive back. Maybe, I mean, if Bradley Chubb doesn't make it, or does actually fall to the 7th overall pick, I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa got him. I think Chubb makes a lot of sense on that Tampa Bay defensive line across from Jason Pierre-Paul, where he could effectively be the Olivier Vernon to Jason Pierre-Paul, who was paired up with Olivier Vernon in New York with the Giants just the last 2 seasons. That would actually make a lot of sense. So if Chubb does make it to the Bucs, I think that he makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, I think Derwin James seems like the most likely pick at 7. So those are my 2 most likely picks for Tampa Bay. But now the Broncos are picking. Let's find out who they go with here. It's going to be either a quarterback, or if they really want to go a little more conservative and they're happy with Case Keenum, I could see them go Quentin Nelson to shore up their offensive line.
All right, let's see how they go.
We've got a boy in a wheelchair here. I think he might be announcing the pick.
Oh, isn't that touching? I'm just seeing footage of Baker Mayfield here. Of course, that was the Browns' first pick.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is exceptional. He's to me, I see Baker Mayfield as a less athletic Marcus Mariota. I know a lot of people compare him to Russell Wilson and Drew Brees just because, he's a short quarterback, therefore he's comparable to short quarterbacks. But to me, he has a lot in common with a Marcus Mariota. Obviously, he's not this incredible, freakish athlete like Mariota was. But in terms of the biggest knock against these guys is, they're system quarterbacks. They didn't have to make NFL throws in their systems. They're, scheme dependent, that kind of stuff. I don't buy that. Here we go. Denver selection. Bradley Chubb. There you go. Who said something about Chubb earlier? The Broncos just got him. They went up. Actually, they didn't even have to go up. They stayed still. And they took Bradley Chubb. Great decision, I think, for the Broncos. I'm surprised they aren't looking at quarterback, but hey, no complaints here. I think it makes a lot of sense. Bradley Chubb, he might be, I forget, he's probably going to be their left. No, so really, they might decide to use Chubb as a 3-4 defensive end. They might use him as like a 5 tech. And I wonder if they have plans for Derek Wolfe, or I wonder if they're going to just use Chubb as their like Leo, like their right side edge rusher, and just not worry about Shane Ray anymore, because Shane Ray's coming off an injury. And then after 2018, I'm pretty sure his contract's up. So they might just decide to be like, fuck it. We'll just let Shane Ray walk after this season. He's not that good anyway. And just use Bradley Chubb opposite Von Miller. That's a deadly rush right there.
And we do have the Colts, as you said, on the clock. Did we talk about the Colts at all yet? Because I know, yeah.
Yeah, the Colts are coming up next. They're picking next. I think they are running to the podium right now to hand in their card with Quentin Nelson's name on it, because they need guard help. And Nelson, I don't think many people projected Nelson to make it to the 6th overall pick. So I think Quentin Nelson is a very obvious pick here for the Colts, unless they are really genuinely worried that Andrew Luck will not be able to continue playing with his shoulder injury or neck injury or whatever it is that he's dealing with. If they have been just like smoke screening everyone the whole time, talking about how, oh yeah, Luck's totally going to play in 2018. Luck, yeah, he's totally on schedule. If that's all been a smoke screen and they are genuinely worried about their quarterback position, they might just go quarterback. But if they do genuinely believe that Luck is still their guy and Luck is healthy, I mean, you have to go Quentin Nelson. You have to help protect the guy, right? Like, Quentin Nelson makes the most sense. And the pick's already in. So to me, that tells me, I said they're running to the podium to get this pick in. With the speed that pick came in, it has to be Quentin Nelson.
I have a question for you as soon as this pick comes in, and we've talked about the pick adequately. So the pick is...
Well, we're not going to find out anytime soon.
Yeah, you're probably ahead of me anyway, because I just switched over to NFL because I was watching it originally on CBS, and that's where all of you guys could watch the draft if you aren't currently. They are streaming it free. You don't need any of that cable provider bullshit on NFL.com.
I don't think the Jags need a wide receiver. I think they're happy with Keelan Cole as an outside guy. I know they kept Marquise Lee to be their flanker, and they still have Dede Westbrook, who I know that they like. So they have a really strong top 3 in their receiving core. I don't think they go receiver early. They might draft like a day 2 receiver in this class, maybe like a bigger guy like an Alan Lazard to really be like the jump ball guy. But as of right now, I don't think that they're going to go receiver at 29. I wouldn't write it off necessarily. I just don't think they need to do it. Just like I don't think they need to go tight end, but they could surprise me and do it anyway because fuck you.
Yeah, all right.
Colts are up. Here we go. Pick is in. I'm waiting on Goodell to show up, man. Waiting on Goodell to get up to the podium and announce the pick. This is the worst part of the draft, is when it says pick is in for like 10 minutes and you're just waiting for the actual pick to be announced. And Donnell Clemens just said he's watching the draft on Twitch. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and when we do talk about the Colts pick, Krista Joseph actually has a question, wants our opinion on something, so I'll feed you his question in a bit. But
oh, wow, okay. Did he say something to us on Twitter?
Yeah, he tweeted me because I tweeted out a link to this video again because I saw that our viewership's kind of fluctuating a little bit, and I want all NFL fans to know that they should come here for their football opinions and analysis. So Joseph saw it, and he had a question for us. But again, I'll get to that as soon as we talk about the Colts here.
And the Colts took Quentin Nelson as predicted. That was the easiest pick to predict so far in the draft.
All right. So if you have nothing else you really want to say about that, though, do you want Krista Joseph's question?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know what DJ wants to know.
He wants to know, who are the Cardinals taking? So let's talk about the Cardinals a little bit here.
Oh, it's actually a tougher question because the Cardinals are in a really interesting position where they do need a quarterback. But I said earlier, and I'll stick to it, I don't think any of the other quarterbacks that are left are really worth a mid to early first round pick. My next quarterback on my quarterback ranking is actually Mason Rudolph, who I see as a late first rounder, like 26, 25 or later kind of pick. But man, as far as the Cardinals, they do need a quarterback. They have Sam Bradford, who is, he's a good quarterback when he's healthy, but he's had so many different knee surgeries that I don't even know if his knees are still even his own. He might just have a Franken knee at this point. But yeah, let me actually look up the Cardinals depth chart to see what kind of roster they have. They have a decent offensive line, and they did just pay Justin Pugh, so they probably don't want to go offensive line already. They have Larry Fitzgerald. They just drafted Chad Williams last year. JJ Nelson's a deep guy. They do have Mike McCoy as their offensive coordinator now, though. They have David Johnson. They don't want a running back, so they're probably going to go defense. Most likely going to do a defensive pick. And man, they could use that's right. Yeah, they're switching to a 4-3 this year, and they really don't have a proper Mike linebacker. So I'm actually going to say that I would say that they should get Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker out of Boise State, would make a ton of sense for them.
All right. Let's see here. The Colts got their pick in Quentin Nelson, as you said. The Buccaneers are on the clock, and again, we did talk about them a little bit. And then,
I did officially predict that they would take Derwin James with the 7th overall pick. I think Derwin James is a strong safety in their system, although I do think that in the grand scheme of things, Derwin James would be best used as a will linebacker, basically like a Telvin Smith plus. If you're familiar with the Jaguars, you know who Telvin Smith is. I think Derwin James can do everything Telvin Smith does plus some. I think that Derwin James is an exceptional talent. He's about 6'1", just a shade under 220 pounds, and he is a freak straight line athlete, but he doesn't have very good hips. He's a little on the stiff side, which is why I wouldn't want him at safety, because your safeties need to be really, really fluid and have really, really flexible hips and stuff. And that's what Derwin James lacks as an athlete. So play to your strengths, hide the weaknesses, put him at linebacker. But like I said, if he does go to the Bucs, I'm pretty sure he's going to end up being their strong safety. So the old Derwin James to linebacker is, that dream might not happen.
Right. I'm just curious about the Bucs, because they are our first division rival making a pick here.
Yeah, and there won't be another one for a little while, because the Saints pick after us. The Saints are 27th, and the Panthers are like 2 ahead of us. They pick 24th.
Oh, well, I just saw here on my NFL draft tracker that they must have made some kind of trade, because now the Buffalo Bills are on the clock.
Oh, they're getting Rosen. The Bills traded up to get Josh Rosen. I would put money on it being Rosen. Really, the only other guy that I could see it being is Josh Allen, that I really genuinely hope for Bills fans' sake that they don't pull the trigger on.
And I don't even know if this makes any sense, but I can't even see the Bucs for the rest of round one. They're not here. Unless, no.
Well, no, if there was a trade, then you would imagine the Bucs would either be picking 12th or 22nd.
They must be 12, because 26 or 20, whatever, 22 is still the Bills I'm seeing. Unless I'm seeing here.
No, I'm seeing it here. Yeah, the Bills traded number 12, but they actually managed to keep number 22. So the Bills are still picking 22nd overall in the first round. They must have traded 12 and like a second round pick or something like that. And I don't think it's going to be Lamar Jackson, because I don't think that the Bills front office wants another running quarterback. They spent years not even wanting Tyrod Taylor, who is a genuinely good NFL quarterback. They tried benching him for Nathan Peterman, rookie Nathan Peterman last year, which led to good old, 5-pick Peterman, the nickname, because Peterman threw 5 interceptions in I think like 3 quarters against the Chargers before Tyrod spelled him. So the Bills genuinely do not want another running quarterback, I think. And I'm guessing they're going to go with Rosen. I think they're going to go for the guy that they see as another Tom Brady type pick, even though I don't think he's as good of a pick as Brady. So it's possible he could be, but I just don't necessarily think he's going to be that. I think the biggest problem with Rosen is that he isn't as accurate as you would like. His career completion percentage is like 61%, which is not terrible, but it's definitely not what you hope for from the great pro prospects. Like Baker Mayfield's career completion percentage is like 68.3% or something crazy like that.
Right.
Rosen isn't as accurate as you would like him to be. And I also think that he was overly reliant when Jordan Lasley was in the game. I think that Rosen overly relied on Lasley. So anytime I see a quarterback overly relying on their number one receiver, I see that as a red flag for the quarterback and a positive for the receiver. Because really, I think if you're a receiver and you're getting targets out the ass, that means you're probably pretty damn good at your job because it means you're getting open a lot. And even if you're not necessarily open, it means that your quarterback trusts you enough to throw you the ball, and you're probably coming down with it most of the time. So,
right. All right.
Buffalo pick is in, and Goodell is at the stand. Let's find out who they went with. Which quarterback? I'm guessing Rosen, hoping for the sake of Bills fans that it's not Allen.
All right.
The Buffalo Bills select. Josh? Oh, my God. Well, guys, sorry if you're a Bills fan, but your franchise just got set back like 4 or 5 years at least.
Yeah, it seems like a mixed reaction from the crowd. Some seem happy about it. Others, though, I don't think they're pleased.
I mean, yeah, if you're a Dolphin, Jet, or Patriots fan, you're ecstatic about this because you just maintain the status quo. Buffalo is now a pushover to beat twice a year.
Oh, wow. That's rough.
Oh, that is rough. That is a horrifying pick for the Bills. And frankly, that is the kind of pick that exposes bad process. So to me, whoever their general manager is probably not going to have his job in a year or two, because that right there, that pick that to me, that exposes bad process. That shows that this general manager isn't making picks based on logic or sound reasoning. He's making picks based on hope and potential and what he thinks can happen rather than what will happen.
All right. Well, maybe it'll work out for the Bills. It doesn't sound like it will, but I mean, you never know.
Here's the thing. The good news for the Bills is you still got AJ McChampionships, baby. You guys signed AJ McCarron over the offseason. You're fine. AJ McCarron's going to be your starting quarterback this year, and he might win you 9 or 10 games. He's that good. I genuinely like AJ McCarron. I think he's a good quarterback. And the downside, the really bad thing is he's going to need more help, though, because you guys still have no offensive line. Your starting left tackle should be a guard. Your starting center is a guy that even Bengals fans hated on an offensive line that wasn't even good. Their standards were low, and they still hated Russ Bodine. So really, Bills, their offense is going to be one of the worst in the league over the next few years. And that is whether AJ McCarron is starting or Josh Allen or Nathan Peterman. They have no chance right now, I think. I genuinely think that the Bills taking Josh Allen just sealed their fate at the bottom of the NFL for the next 2 to 5 years.
Damn. All right, well, if I'm not mistaken, the Bears are on the clock.
It's a good thing they have a damn fine defense, too, because otherwise they would just go 0-16 because their offense is going to be garbage for the next few years. But, yeah, they do have a really good defense, so I'm sure they'll still probably manage to win like 4 to 7 games every year or two. And but, yeah, they have incredible defensive talent. Their defense is stacked. They have they're coming off Tre'Davious White. Their rookie last year was incredible at left corner. They have Vontae Davis at right corner. Their safeties are strong. I think they need some linebacker help, but they have a great Sam and Lorenzo Alexander. They have Shaq Lawson and Kyle Williams and Jerry Hughes. They have a lot of defensive talent, but offensively, it's a dumpster fire, man. It is absolutely just awful. One of the worst offensive rosters, if not the worst offensive roster in the league. Really, the only players on their offense that I would actually be excited to have are Deion Dawkins, who's their left tackle, but I wouldn't be excited to have him at left tackle. I'd be excited to have him as a guard. LaShawn McCoy, obviously. Chris Ivory, maybe as like a third string guy, and he's their backup. And then Charles Clay at tight end. Those are the only players on their entire offensive roster, top to bottom, that I would be genuinely excited to have. Or, I mean, since we are Falcons fans, I wouldn't mind getting Patrick DeMarco back, but that's a fullback, and fullbacks don't help you win games.
All right. Well, with that said, Chicago Bears are still on the clock. And then after them is the 49. Well, now the pick is in, and now both 49ers are on the clock. So let's see how that all turns out, partner.
And now you can see here on the screen, Tampa Bay received 2 second-round picks from the Bills, 53rd and 56th overall, just for the Bills to be able to move down from move up rather from 12 up to 7. So Tampa Bay, here's the thing though, Tampa Bay might still get Derwin James at 12. There's a good chance that no team between 8 and 11 takes Derwin James. I think that the Raiders at 10 are going to take Minkah Fitzpatrick to play corner, not safety. But I don't think that the Bears or the 49ers or the Dolphins are necessarily going to take Derwin James. If any of those teams do, I think it would be the Dolphins at 11. But even then, I wouldn't put money on it.
All right. Well, we shall see.
The Bears pick is in. I'm hoping they go for an inside linebacker, maybe Roquan Smith. They need inside linebacker help because really Vic Fangio's defense operates best when it has a pair of stud defensive ends and a pair of stud inside linebackers. And as of right now, they have Akeem Hicks, who is an excellent left defensive end for them. And they have, I believe, do they still have Jarrell Freeman or did he retire? I think Jarrell Freeman retired. They still have Danny Trevathan, though. And their right defensive end, Jonathan Bullard, I did like him as a prospect. So they have one guaranteed stud defensive end and one really good inside linebacker. And I don't think that there are any defensive end prospects that they would want to take here that would make, like, Jonathan Bullard is like, it's like so much of an upgrade over Bullard that they would be willing to take at 8 overall. So I think that they're trying to get that inside linebacker. I think that it could be any of the big three. There are 3 major linebacker names this year. It's Tremaine Edmonds, who I think is very overrated. There's Leighton Vander Esch, who I love, and I think he would be an amazing pick here too, but I don't think the NFL values him as much as I do. And then there's Roquan Smith, who I think is the most likely pick here.
All right.
It's Roquan Smith. Yeah, baby. We got Roquan. There you go. The Bears got Roquan. Who is the Bears fan? Jacob Dubb. Jacob, you are going to be so happy about Roquan Smith, man. He is an excellent player. John, you've even watched Roquan Smith. You can attest to how great this guy is.
Yeah, the dude's fucking skilled, to say the least. You see the draft grade there, A for Roquan Smith. Excellent pick here for Chicago. And, yeah, Jacob Dubb, a Chicago Bears fan, nice pick, I think. So, and now we've got the 49ers on the clock. How do you think the 49ers are going to go in your mind?
You know, it's actually interesting with the 49ers. I could see them go one of 2 different ways. The first way is edge rusher, but I think they want to give Solomon Thomas a shot at Leo. Maybe they want to get like a Sam linebacker, in which case I could see them go Harold Landry. Harold Landry would make a lot of sense. Or they could say, you know what? If our offense doesn't work, we're just going to run and you're not going to be allowed to pass either. So we're just going to stack our defense against the pass. They might draft Minkah Fitzpatrick here to be a corner opposite Richard Sherman. And yes, John, you heard me right. Richard Sherman is a 49er now, not a Seahawk anymore.
I figured it was only a matter of time. I mean, he seems skilled as hell in the field, but off field, I was always concerned that, like, sooner or later he was going to end up on a different island, and there it is. So, yeah, that's your idea for the 49ers. You know what? I've put it off long enough. I'm curious, even though we still got a ways to go. What move do you think the Falcons are making today for round 1?
My official prediction is that the Falcons are going to trade up to the 18th overall pick, trading with Seattle, same trade partners we had last year, to go up and get Tack, and take Taven Bryan, the defensive end / tackle out of Florida.
All right.
That's my official prediction. I think the Falcons are going to trade up and get Taven Bryan. I would be ecstatic if we stayed put and didn't trade up. And I would be even more ecstatic if we traded back and got more picks, because the roster isn't as good as the front office seems to think it is. And we need help, and they don't realize it. And they're just digging us further and further into the hole every time they trade up. But I'm predicting officially that they will trade up and take Taven Bryan, because Taven Bryan, to me, is the quintessential Dan Quinn pick. He is a big, strong, athletic, explosive guy who is versatile. He can play defensive end or defensive tackle, and son of a military guy. I think he's like the son of a Marine or some shit like that. And that is right up Dan Quinn's aisle. Like Dan Quinn, when Dan Quinn found out that Taven Bryan was a freaking Army brat, he probably came in his pants.
Okay. Well, the 49ers are still on the clock. So far, with every team that's made picks, The most down you've probably been on a pick would be Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Overall, how have you felt about this draft this far? Do you think all these teams have been making the right moves? Do you think some moves could have been better? I mean,
the thing is, honestly, I think Josh Allen is the worst pick so far by a mile. I genuinely do not think that I think he's a net negative for the Bills, because if they believe in him and they try and give him playing time, he will actively lose them games rather than winning them for them. So I think Josh Allen is far and away the worst pick. But really, I think the next worst pick in this draft so far would have to be Saquon Barkley, because you don't draft running backs early, even if he is great at the game. I just think that drafting a running back with a second overall pick is just bad process. Even if you think that he is like the best running back prospect of all time, I still think the best running back prospect of all time is not worth the overall pick. So that would be my next worst draft pick so far. But even still, Barkley is going to contribute in the passing game. He's still going to be a net positive for the team, even if opportunity cost wise, I think it was a bad pick. So it's been a pretty damn strong draft so far. I love that the Browns got Mayfield and then the Jets got Darnold. I was hoping that the Jets and the Bills would both get strong quarterbacks this year so that they could finally challenge the goddamn Patriots in the AFC East, but they decided to go with fucking Josh Allen instead.
All right, well, just glad I got that little breakdown from you there. We've got San Francisco, the pick is in, so now the Raiders are on the clock. Very interesting to see how the Raiders go. What do you think about the Raiders scheme? I don't think.
Well, no, I want to find out who the 49ers picked here.
All right.
Here we go. Oh my God.
Oh, that can't be good.
No, it's not like he's a bad player or anything. I just don't understand the pick. They went with Mike McGlinchey, tackle out of Notre Dame. He's going to be a good player, but to me, he's a right tackle only. So the biggest problem with this pick to me is that Mike McGlinchey lacks the kind of athleticism that you look for in an offensive lineman to be able to block the elite edge rushers that offensive tackles are tasked with blocking. I'm sure he's going to be fine as far as like run blocking goes. My biggest question for McGlinchey is his athleticism. I think that he might struggle with speed rushers. And really, like, the positive for him is that nobody in the NFC West really has that elite left side edge rusher. So that's at least 6 games every year that McGlinchey's going to be able to just pound a guy into the dirt in the run game and not struggle too much with the pass rush. But if they end up facing like the AFC West, where they have to go against Von Miller and Justin Houston and Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa, Jesus Christ, they're so beyond fucked. It's unbelievable. Plus, drafting Mike McGlinchey means that they're trading Trenton Brown, which makes no sense whatsoever to me, because right now, what Trenton Brown is currently is everything Mike McGlinchey could ever hope to be. So they're trading basically Mike McGlinchey's ceiling for Mike McGlinchey's current state. Because to me, Trenton Brown is the ceiling that Mike McGlinchey should strive to reach in like the long run, like at his best possible, like the best possible version that Mike McGlinchey could possibly get to is what Trenton Brown currently is. And they're trading him for a second round pick, most likely. And they just picked up McGlinchey to replace him. It makes no sense to me. And if really, it would be even worse if they were going to draft Mike McGlinchey to replace Joe Staley at left tackle, because Joe Staley is one of the best tackles in the league, arguably of all time. And it's not like he's like this ancient 40-year-old guy. He's only 33. He could keep going for another like 3 or 4 years. So I really do not understand this pick. I'm sure McGlinchey will be a fine player. I don't think he's going to be an absolute disaster by any means. I just don't think he's going to be a net positive for the team. And now you can see the Raiders traded back. The Cardinals went up to 10. I guarantee you they are getting a quarterback here. The question is whether it's Rosen or Lamar Jackson. I honestly think, based on what we've seen in Arizona from Mike McCoy, they're getting Rosen here.
All right. So you're saying Josh Rosen for the Cardinals. Do you think he'll fit their scheme nicely? You think that's a sound investment for the Cardinals to make?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I hesitate with Josh Rosen because, like I said earlier, I don't think that he is everything that he's all cracked up to be. I think that He is a good but not great quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to be great. I don't think he's ever going to be elite or anything like that. I think that he needs a lot of work. I don't think he's as accurate as you would want. Obviously, he's more accurate than Lamar Jackson and Josh Rosen, and Josh Allen, I should say. But I still don't think he's as accurate as he should be. I actually did a little bit of research, and I found that there are basically no successful NFL quarterbacks who had a career touchdown rate in college as low as Josh Rosen's was at UCLA. He only played 30 out of a possible 37, I believe, games at UCLA. So he also has injury concerns. So now they've got Sam Bradford, the quarterback with the bionic knees, who could explode at any minute on the field. And they're going to draft Josh Rosen, who has major injury concerns of his own. So the Cardinals are trying to basically load up on paper in a way that could blow up in their faces in the matter of a game or two.
Well, I mean, and partner, here's the thing. We know DeJoseph is I guess seemingly a huge Cardinals fan since he asked about them. I don't think you ask about somebody unless you have a vested interest in them, unless you're like me and you just want to be the casual point of view and try and think outside the box a little bit. So I'll love to see what DeJoseph thinks of this pick. Still haven't had a division rival pick yet, but I think that's actually, no, that's 2 picks away, because then we got the Dolphins after the Cardinals, and then the Bucs are going after the Dolphins, unless they trade again, or can they not do that?
No, they can totally do that if they want to. I just doubt they will.
Right. So really now comes
Darius Frazier just said it. That Cardinals offensive line better be on their game, because they've got 2 of the more fragile quarterbacks going into the 2018 season in Bradford. And if it is Rosen, it might not be Rosen, it might be Lamar Jackson, but based on their offensive coordinator, I think it's most likely going to be Rosen, because I think that Mike McCoy probably thinks, oh yeah, I want my Peyton Manning, and he thinks Josh Rosen can be that guy, even though he most likely isn't anywhere close to that guy.
I mean, again, this draft, because we talked about the Patriots earlier, and the reason why I have such a vested interest is, again, I am the casual, and I think the funny thing about the NFL, at least for the last several years, is that in my opinion, and again, that's very limited, very narrow, so take it for what it is, but if you were to ask just a casual person, who's the most dominant team in the NFL, Patriots probably come up for a lot of people. Yeah. And to know that dynasty is kind of bursting, and again, for me, I'm kind of envisioning this free-for-all with a lot of teams in the league. This draft could actually be a really crucial draft for a lot of teams, knowing that the Patriots might be losing a bit of steam here. I mean, Alan, and like you said, they could come back this year, win the Super Bowl, status quo, all that stuff. But if it really is an up for grabs kind of thing, if this dynasty really is falling apart, you got to make your moves count. And we'll see if the Cardinals can make their move count here.
It's interesting too, because really, if the Cardinals don't go quarterback, which I think is kind of obvious that they will, but I mean, I would pop so big if they went with Leighton Vander Esch here and they had to trade up in front of the Dolphins because they thought the Dolphins were going to take LVE. I would be so happy, because to me, that's like a win-win-win for everyone, because then LVE gets picked earlier, gets more money. The Dolphins get a Mike of the future to pair with Hassan Reddick, who's their will now. There's a lot of positive to come out of them trading up for LVE, but the amount that they gave up to move up from 15 to 10 spells quarterback to me.
Right. I mean, quarterback, head of the Hydra for a lot of people. So,
for really every team, quarterback is objectively the most important single position in, I would argue, all of sports, but objectively it is the single most important position in pro football.
And yeah, the pick is in for the Cardinals. We see that the Dolphins are on the clock. We will get to the Dolphins in a moment. We are going to see who the Cardinals have picked here.
Yeah, and we might actually get 2 quarterback selections in a row, because I think a lot of people would say that the Dolphins might go quarterback. I don't think they will, but we'll talk about that after this selection is made official.
All right.
Here we go. Arizona Cardinals select. Yep, it was Josh Rosen. There's the pick. The most fragile quarterback room in the NFL right now. Sam Bradford and Josh Rosen. Rosen is a Cardinal. Tell DeJoseph that you hope they stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because, man, Bradford, I honestly, here's the crazy thing. To me, Sam Bradford is a better quarterback now than Josh Rosen even has the potential to be. But again, you come back to the injury concern, and Bradford has major injury concerns with his knees. Rosen has his own injury concerns. This pick is probably my second least favorite pick that's been made so far after Josh Allen.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that really puts it in perspective then. So again, we got the Dolphins on the clock. Then comes Tampa Bay, which again, I've told you guys I am interested in to a degree because, they are a division rival making a pick. So it's going to be very interesting to me. And yeah, we're just going to wait and see what kind of move the Dolphins make here. Let me check out chat, see if there's any worthwhile questions. Guys, if you have any questions in chat, I'll try and pay a bit more attention to that. I think Ashton's been pretty good about seeing the chat when you guys ask stuff, but do not be shy because, I mean, Ashton's just firing off again. I'm just a filthy casual over here, so.
Yeah, Darius Frazier even said it. That poor medical, no, not that poor medical staff. That well-paid medical staff, they are going to be compensated. They are going to be kept busy. That's a medical staff that's going to be kept happy from the amount of work they get, brother. The poor medical staff is like the Patriots medical staff because they have like off-season programs to prevent their players from getting hamstring injuries and shit. Like they go out of their way to protect their players from injury. Those guys are replaceable. That medical staff is replaceable. They don't have job security at all. Cardinals, though, holy hell, we need you to fix our quarterbacks. We need you. You need to do this, please. So, yeah, the Cards got the most fortunate medical staff in the damn freaking league right now.
Oh, man, that's rough.
Who's the Cardinals? I think their third-string quarterback is like Drew Stanton or something, who also has injury history. Oh, no, it's Mike Glennon. Okay, well, hell, Mike Glennon might end up starting this year for them because Sam Bradford, I mean, really, their best case scenario is just Bradford stays healthy for the entire year. That's not only is that their best case scenario, but that's also Bradford's best case scenario, and it's also Rosen's best case scenario because if Rosen is able to sit and learn for a couple of years, long term, he could probably end up developing into a good quarterback. He just isn't one right now.
And we got Dolphins still on the clock. Sal made a prediction. I bet Emmitt Smith is going to be drafted to the Cardinals.
What?
Any remarks about
God
that?
Damn it, Sal! Emmitt Smith retired a decade ago.
Oh, Sal! I think it's adorable that he tried though, because that's such a me thing to do. You're all right, Sal. You're all right. Yeah, I can't really think of any other chat comments. I think you already addressed the Flaming Shark. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep my eyes on the draft tracker. Let's see, we got Dolphins. So
Dolphins next. And I'll tell you what, here is low-key, I genuinely think that the most likely pick to the Dolphins here is Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker out of Virginia Tech. He's a 19-year-old kid. He's going to turn 20 in, I think, like October or some crazy shit like that. He's going to be a 19-year-old rookie to start the season, which is just stupid. But I think Edmonds is the most likely pick. I'm not a huge fan of Tremaine Edmonds, although his youth is obviously appealing to coaches who think, well, let's just bring this kid in and just mold him into what we want out of him because he's such a young player that he could develop into pretty much anything we want him to develop into. I mean, really, there are here's the crazy thing, guys. Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver for the Alabama Crimson Tide that's coming out this year, that's probably going to get drafted in like 5 picks here to the Ravens. He started college at 20. So he was a 19-year-old senior in high school. Tremaine Edmonds is going to be a 19-year-old rookie in the NFL.
Damn.
How crazy is that, right?
Yeah, that's nuts, dude.
Yeah, so that's who I think the Dolphins are going to pick. If they really do want to pick a quarterback, only one left that I could understand that I could actually foresee them picking is Lamar Jackson. The next best quarterback on my board is Mason Rudolph, but I doubt he goes this high. So even though I love Mason Rudolph, the NFL isn't as big of a fan of his. Well, the Dolphins went with Minkah. The Dolphins drafted Minkah Fitzpatrick. and in the process crush the dreams of Raiders fans everywhere. Sorry, Raiders fans, but the trade back didn't work out so well.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of shot themselves in the foot there. But now Tampa Bay is on the clock. Here we go.
And Derwin James is still available, so he's probably the pick.
Yeah, first pick for a division rival here for us Falcons fans being made. Speaking of, Ashton, I've been focusing so much on Tampa, but we do have other division rivals.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Dolphins selected Minkah Fitzpatrick as a safety. That's a terrible pick. Minkah Fitzpatrick is not a safety in the NFL. He is a corner. He is a pure cornerback in the NFL. And if you think he's going to be a good safety for you, you are making a massive mistake, especially because the Dolphins have an all-pro safety tandem in Rashad Jones and Rodney McLeod. They already have two excellent safeties. Why the hell would you draft Minkah Fitzpatrick to play safety? That's a terrible pick. That makes no sense.
Ooh, rough night here at draft night 1.
Dude, this is Deion Jordan all over again. Back in 2013, the Dolphins traded up from 11 to 3, I believe, to pick Deion Jordan. And Deion Jordan was a guy who in college was not a good edge rusher, did not play well against the run, but he was an incredible coverage linebacker. He played coverage. He was covering like 5'10", 185-pound slot corners at 6'6", 250. So this is a gigantic human being who can move with the best of them. He was fast. He was quick. He was agile. He could cover. And the Dolphins went up from 11 to 3 to pick him to be an edge rusher. They put his hand in the dirt. They asked him to play edge rusher, defensive end in their 4-3 scheme. This is that situation all over again. They're drafting a talented player to play him at the wrong position. It's the Dolphins. That's just what they do.
Oh, man. Well, I guess the Dolphins are just playing out of water. Go now. We're moving to Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's okay. Dolphins breathe oxygen out of the air.
Well, we'll see if that talent comes in handy at all after this pick. So I was going to talk to you, though, about our other division rivals. We've got Carolina Panthers so far picking at number 24. They could very easily change. We've already seen that today in day 1. People trading up and, switching spots. And then the Saints are going just 3 spots after that with actually they're going after us, which is going to be interesting. So what do you see the Panthers and the Saints doing? Like, who do you think is more of a threat based on who they're going to go with? Who do you think really needs some work between the Panthers and the Saints? Where do you see both teams here?
Oh, well, interestingly enough, I don't really know much about the Panthers as far as their front office goes, because they just let go their general manager, Dave Gettleman. So the Panthers have a new GM now named Marty Herney, who I am not overly familiar with. I'm not actually entirely sure what Marty Herney likes to do as a general manager. So it's a tough call. Apparently he was their general manager from 2002 to 2012, but that doesn't really help me because 2013 was my first year really diving headfirst into the draft and really putting that effort in to formulate my own opinions a little bit. So Marty Herney being the Carolina Panthers general manager from 2002 to 2012 isn't super helpful to me as far as predicting what they're going to do. The most common name that I've seen mocked to them is safety Justin Reed out of Stanford. But I also know that there are a lot of Panthers fans that don't like that pick. So it's a really tough call for me what they go for.
All right. Then we shall see. I'm really curious. But you said that was about the Panthers. What about the Saints, though? Where do you see the Saints going?
In my most recent mock that I made that was a predictive, actually meant to try and predict who gets picked when, I said that they were going to take linebacker Malik Jefferson to play Sam for them. Or actually, it might have been Will. I don't even remember. But I went with their linebacker Malik Jefferson. So that's a possibility. I think that they could go wide receiver, although I sure as hell hope they don't get DJ Moore. That would piss me off beyond belief. They could go wide receiver. I don't genuinely believe that they'll go wide receiver in the first round, but that's the most common position that I see mocked to them in the media. So that's why I threw that out there. But I don't think they need to because they already have Michael Thomas. They already have Cameron Meredith. They have a deep threat in Ted Ginn. So they have a decent receiving core. And really, when you've got Drew Brees, you don't need an exceptional receiving core to have an outstanding pass offense. And especially because if you think about it, even though, yeah, they could draft a receiver, the receiver that they draft would end up being like fourth in the pecking order because you've got Michael Thomas, you've got Cameron Meredith, and whichever running back they put out on the field is naturally going to get targeted more than the third most targeted wide receiver. So they've got two wide receivers and a running back that are going to get targeted more than whoever they would draft to be their third wide receiver after Michael Thomas and Cameron Meredith. So I really don't think that a wide receiver is the direction that they'll go in the first round. I think they will get a receiver in the second or third, maybe even fourth round, but I don't think that's where they go in the first. I think it's much more likely they go defense, maybe edge rusher, maybe a defensive tackle to pair up with Sheldon Rankins. I think linebacker is the most likely pick, but here we go. Tampa Bay making their selection. I predicted Derwin James earlier. I still think that's who it'll be.
All right, let's see. I haven't even got my volume turned up.
They went defensive tackle. They went with the big boy, Vita Vea. And how coincidental is it that they picked Vita Vea, a gigantic run-stuffing, two-down defensive tackle, number 12 overall, the same exact spot that the Cleveland Browns selected Danny Shelton a few years ago. Exact same type of player, big, oversized, two-down, run-stuffing defensive tackle. But here's the big difference to me. The Browns wanted Danny Shelton to be their DT1, their primary guy, the number one defensive tackle on their team. Vita Vea doesn't have that expectation because the Bucs have Gerald McCoy, and Gerald McCoy is an absolute monstrous defensive tackle, not even size-wise, just from a play-wise perspective. Gerald McCoy is one of the top 3 to 5 defensive tackles in the league, and he is a smaller guy. He is a pass-rushing kind of guy. He's a disruptor. He's a 3-tech. Vita Vea, very much a 1-tech. So really interesting pairing there. Horrible value for the pick. If you're going to take a defensive tackle like Vita Vea, you take that guy on day 3. You take that guy in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. You take a guy like BJ Hill or Deidrin Sanat or someone like that. You don't get that guy in the first round because really in the first round, you want players that are going to impact the passing game. Vita Vea does not offer pass game at all. He's not a pass rusher. He is a pure two-down run stuffer. You don't want him on the field on 3rd and 10. You want him on the field on 3rd and inches so he can clog up the middle and stuff the running back. But that's not as important as the passing game, which is why I think this is a horrible value pick. Good player, horrible value pick.
All right. I think that's a soundbite to kind of end that on. Washington Redskins officially on the clock. You know what, Ashton?
Oh, and by the way, you know how I mentioned that the Browns selected Danny Shelton a few years ago at nose tackle at the exact same, the 12th overall spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, this year they traded him to the Patriots before his rookie contract was even up because he wasn't contributing.
Wow.
And I think there are a lot of people, now I wouldn't, but I think there are a lot of people that would argue that Danny Shelton was a better prospect than Vita Vea. And here's another interesting little tidbit. Danny Shelton and Vita Vea went to the same college, both Washington Huskies.
Interesting. Let's switch gears here a little bit, though, because I do want to pick your brain while the Washington Redskins are still on the clock about 2 other Birds teams, so to speak. Abel's Baltimore Ravens and the Seattle Seahawks, since we were talking earlier about how Richard Sherman is no longer a Seahawk, and I think that's been the case for a little bit. So who are you liking in that draft? And, when you put them in kind of like a matchup, who do you think is going to get the better pick for their scheme? What is their scheme? And, so just give us the breakdown, essentially, for Ravens and Seahawks, if you wouldn't mind.
The Ravens have actually signed some wide receivers this offseason, so I don't think a wide receiver is a necessity for them to draft, especially not early. If I'm the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens, if I'm Ozzie Newsome, if I'm, in control of who they pick, I'm not as worried about wide receiver because they have an X, or it's not really a true X, but they have their stretch guy in John Brown. And they also have Brashad Perriman backing him up, who is another speed guy down the field. They have their Z, their sort of possession guy in Michael Crabtree. They have their Y, their slot guy in Willie Snead. Really, I don't think they need to draft a wide receiver early. They could use Like if they wanted to get a true X, they could get a guy like Alan Lazard in the second or third. They could get, like a smaller school guy like a Justin Watson on day 3. They could get a Traquan Smith out of UCF. Those are all legitimately strong X receiver candidates that they can get on day 2 or 3. So they wouldn't have to grab a wide receiver in the first round. But I'll tell you, as far as what I would do, I think I would have to look at linebackers, because right now they have one really good off-ball linebacker. That's CJ Mosley. They don't have another really good one. They have Patrick Unwasar. They have Kamale Correa. They have Bam Bradley. But really, their off-ball linebackers are weak. Other than CJ Mosley, they need another off-ball linebacker. So, again, I'm going to pound the table for this guy, because to me, he is the best linebacker in this draft class. Leighton Vander Esch would be my pick if I was controlling the Ravens, if I was their GM. Right now, though, the Redskins pick is in. I think they do need wide receiver help. Quite frankly, I could see, really, if I'm the Redskins and I know what I currently have, I'm taking DJ Moore. Because to me, and in my opinion, DJ Moore is the best wide receiver prospect that we have seen in the NFL draft since Amari Cooper in 2015. Arguably even earlier than that, if you want to go back to 2014 and you want to talk about, your freaking Odell Beckham Juniors of the world. So really, DJ Moore is an exceptional wide receiver talent. He is a freak athlete, one of the most dominant college receivers that we've seen in a decade. He is a freak. He is dominant. He has the size, too. He's 6 feet tall, 210 pounds. He is an exceptional wide receiver prospect, and the Redskins already have kind of a taller, downfield kind of guy in Josh Doctson, who I think is a really good player, and they have Jamison Crowder in the slot. But their ex-receiver right now is Paul Richardson, who weighs like 165 pounds. So they need a strong, powerful go-to guy, and I think DJ Moore is the best possible option for them. Or if they just want to have like the Twin Towers and they want to have 2 big, tall, deep threats on the outside, they could get Cortland Sutton here too. I think the worst-case scenario, if you're the Washington Redskins fans, is Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley is the worst-case scenario for the Redskins here. I think Calvin Ridley is a solid prospect with a very low ceiling. I think he's going to be an instant contributor, but I don't think he has very much upside at all. So let's find out.
All right.
Oh my God, that's even worse. They went with Daron Payne. So they actually did pretty much the exact same thing that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just did. And rather than getting a nose tackle to play, next to a 3-tech like what the Bucs did, they got a big, he might be our nose tackle for them, or he might be a defensive end for them. I don't really know for sure, but they got another big run stopper, just like what the Bucs just did. They got another big 2-down run stopping defensive tackle. And I think in a year or two, teams are going to look back on this and be like, what the hell were they thinking? I think that this is going to be one of those drafts that might change the way teams look at positional value. Because to me, you go with a big 1-tech if you're the Bucs, or if you're the Redskins and you play a true 3-4, hell, they might decide to use Daron Payne as a 0-tech, as a true 3-4 nose tackle. Or, they might play an underfront. I don't know for sure. He might still be a 1-tech. But really, I don't think Daron Payne is going to help the Redskins. Really, he's almost the polar opposite to John Allen, because John Allen last year was a guy who was freakishly productive in college, insane production in college. And he wasn't uber athletic, but he was just athletic enough. And he ended up being a really good player. As a rookie before he got injured. So I think Daron Payne is kind of the exact opposite. He's a really athletic guy. But here's a number for you, John. You're not super hardcore into football, but you can still recognize how bad this is. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Daron Payne put up 3 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. But here's the kicker: in his 35-game career.
Oh, that's rough. And fascinating development here. Saints traded up majorly with Green Bay. They are now going next. Another division rival about to make a pick. And that means
actually,
Green Bay is
interestingly, though, they leapfrogged the Raiders. I wonder if they're going to get Tremaine Edmonds here. I wonder if they're going to go linebacker and go with either Tremaine Edmonds or if it's going to be Leighton Vander Esch. If they go Leighton Vander Esch, I'm going to be so pissed off because that's been my guy that I've been pounding the table for this whole time. And then who gets him? The Saints. God damn it. Really, next worst case scenario is, they traded up to get DJ Moore. So my nightmare has officially begun, people. The only upside is that they gave up a lot of picks. I'm assuming they gave up a lot of picks to move up from 27 to 14. So
yeah, I didn't think we were going to get another division rival out of the way this quickly.
Yeah, so really, whoever this is, they're probably not worth this pick. And the amount of picks that they just gave up to get this person, even if it is DJ Moore, who I love, who is great, who could very easily get them over the hump and be a great player for them, it's not worth this pick. And I shouldn't even say it's not worth this pick. It's not worth the amount of picks that they gave up to move up to make this pick, because you move up from 27 to 14, you're losing a lot of draft capital. And the Saints are a good team and they are close to being Super Bowl team, but they are still I'm sorry, but when you're building to win now, you're neglecting your future. So even if the Saints get a Super Bowl ring out of this move, it's not worth it in the long term, because really 3 years from now, when they don't have a Drew Brees and they don't have any quarterback and their team is shallow, they don't have depth because they traded all their freaking depth away, they're going to regret it. So the Saints are moving up from 27 to 14. We still haven't seen what they gave up to do it, but I'm assuming it's going to be a lot, probably like a first and a second and a fourth, or a first and a first next year, or some kind of something like that. But yeah, man, I
mean, I will say, as a casual, that's what's always made me tentative, about trades. Whenever I hear any team does it, because to me, making a trade, especially because some trades really are worth an arm and a leg, right? It's also about the quality of the trade, and we have to keep that in mind. And for the people, or I should say the teams especially, that do those types of arm and leg type trades, I'll give up my first round pick next year. It's to me, you're making one hell of a gamble on whoever you're picking now. That they will come through for you in such a way that you can take that loss. And I don't know if I'd ever have that kind of confidence in anybody, but then again, I don't know football. So, it just always seems like a real risk to me. But let's see.
Yeah, and then the Flaming Shark actually said something interesting. In before the Raiders take DJ Moore just to try and score 45 points a game with Derek Carr and 20 receivers. But here's the thing. Jordy Nelson is 35 years old, so I wouldn't call him a great receiver right now, even if he might be a decent one. They gave away Michael Crabtree. They just let him go. They didn't trade him to get value in return or anything. And here we see, yeah, they did what I thought. They gave up this year's first round pick and next year's first round pick to move up to the 14th overall pick. So they gave up this year's first and next year's first, and I believe it was also this year's fifth, to move up from 27 to 14. So the Saints now do not have a 2019 first round pick. That belongs to the Packers.
That is one hell of a gambit to make, in my opinion, partner. That's whoever you're picking. It better be something special, because that is an arm and a leg.
Last year, their first 4 picks were major hits. Their first pick, Marshawn Lattimore, defensive rookie of the year. Their second pick, Ryan Ramczyk, great right tackle, replacing Zach Strife. Their third pick, Marcus Williams, played great all year right until that missed tackle against Minnesota that cost them the playoffs. And their fourth pick, Alvin Kamara, offensive rookie of the year. So the Saints were the second or third team in NFL history to have both the offensive and defensive rookies of the year last year. So they have been drafting relatively well recently. The question is, who are they targeting here at 14? It could be the guy that I projected to go to the Packers. It could be Harold Landry, and that would horrify the shit out of me.
We will see. I mean, they're breaking it down. I mean, to make that kind of a concession, they must have somebody in mind that can really bring their scheme together.
I'll tell you what, though, man. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you this. They wanted Patrick Mahomes last year. They wanted Patrick Mahomes last year at 12, and the Chiefs leapfrogged their asses. Actually, I think they wanted him at 13. It was at 11. The Chiefs leapfrogged their asses, went up to 10, and stole Patrick Mahomes out from under their noses. Maybe they want a quarterback here. Maybe they traded up to get Lamar Jackson. I don't agree with the move. And honestly, that to me, as a Falcons fan, that's best case scenario. Please take Lamar Jackson. Let him beat us with his legs. Just don't let them get a genuinely good player that'll help them win like a lot. So
I'm seeing the pick is in.
If they get Lamar Jackson, I'm perfectly fine with that, and I'll actually breathe a sigh of relief if they get Lamar Jackson. But if it's DJ Moore, if it's Harold Landry, if it's Leighton Vander Esch or Tremaine Edmonds, like there are a lot of landmines that we could be landing on here.
All right, well, we'll see if that
Courtland Sutton. I didn't even mention Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is a different type of player than DJ Moore, but they both scare the shit out of me if they would end up on New Orleans, especially because Drew Brees takes decent receivers and makes them awesome. Because really, if you play with Drew Brees, you're getting higher quality targets than you would for other teams because Drew Brees is just that damn good of a quarterback.
All right, well, who do we got here?
I don't know, man. I'm still waiting. We're all waiting. Just waiting to see who the Saints decided to trade up and pick.
Yeah, I thought they were going to announce it because we are going to the stage here, and it's got the pick is in. So
yeah, I see the pick is in. I'm waiting for it to actually say player selection though, because that's usually when it means that Goodell. Here we go. Now it says Saints selection. Goodell coming up to the stand. God, I really hope it's not Harold Landry or Marcus Davenport or Josh Sweat or DJ Moore or Courtland Sutton or LVE or, any of those guys. With the 14th pick, here we go. The New Orleans Saints select. Shit, they got Davenport. God damn it. Well, that was a really good pick by the Saints, and rip Matt Ryan.
Damn. The Saints seem happy about that.
Yeah, they went up and got their guy. They got Marcus Davenport. Davenport is, I have my edge rusher analytics that I do every year. I do all kinds of research, and I found, the athletic traits that translate to NFL success for college prospects. And Marcus Davenport is my edge rusher number 1 this year. Technically number 2 after Bradley Chubb, but Chubb went already. So yeah, Davenport was the next best guy available. And man, that's really unfortunate for Matt Ryan because Jake Matthews is not going to be able to do much to stop Marcus Davenport. If you're not familiar with Marcus Davenport, by the way, Marcus Davenport looks as a prospect like what Robert Quinn looked like as a prospect in 2011. And if you don't know who Robert Quinn is, he only had 45 sacks in his first 4 years in the league. You still
come out too well.
Oh, geez. I thought you left, man. I thought your internet went out or something.
No, I'm just taking that in. And yeah, we're seeing some tape here of Davenport.
Yeah, Davenport is a tier 1 edge rusher. He is an alpha dog edge rush prospect. And I know I said Harold Landry a few times, but damn, Davenport is up there too. Davenport is the reason I kept saying Harold Landry is because I was just under the impression that he was going to be selected before Davenport. I didn't think that NFL teams agreed with my analysis that Davenport might be a little bit of a better prospect. So, man,
I'm assuming that this is because of a trade, but I don't see on the draft tracker. I don't see the Texans on here.
They don't have a first round pick.
Okay, I assumed as much.
No, yeah, they traded. It was a trade that they did last year. Last year, they traded up from, I think, 25 to 12 to get their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, and they gave up their 2018 first-round pick for it.
I've seen the Texans play like one game. I was really into the game that they were playing against the Patriots because I think that had championship implications. And they threw, I saw them throw like 1 or 2 interceptions, and I was done. Like, I turned my computer off. I was so disgusted. So...
Was that a playoff game, maybe?
I think that was a playoff game, yeah.
I don't know how long ago that was because
that was just this past season, I think.
Well, the Texans didn't make the playoffs this season, did they?
That must have been 2 seasons ago at best.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't know though. I don't know.
Because yeah, that was rough.
Well, the Raiders are up next, and really, I mean, they don't have Minkah Fitzpatrick. Maybe they can't go Mike McGlinchey. That's probably why they traded back. I think they wanted Mike McGlinchey, and the 49ers said, no, fuck you, we're taking him first. So they were just like, well, shit, if we can't get our guy, we might as well trade back, get some value, and get a guy that we also like even if we don't like him as much as we like McGlinchey. So, I mean, maybe, oh God, man, this is a rough one. The Raiders, maybe Colton Miller. I mean, really, I'm not sure, man. Maybe DJ Moore. DJ Moore I'm not writing him off as a possibility. He could be the pick. Maybe, I mean, maybe they are the ones that stop the Derwin James free fall. It seems like Derwin James was projected to be a top 12 pick pretty much across the board. And here we are at pick number 15, and Derwin is still available. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, Raiders, the pick is in for them. Baltimore Ravens, pick number 16, which puts us halfway through this first round of the draft. They are on the clock. I'm going to see, is Abel online at all? I'd like him to join us for this pick. Maybe I'll pop in and be like, yay or nay, depending on where the Ravens go. I mean, obviously, I guess the most obvious answer is all of it because, I mean, you are the football guy. You are given the in-depth coverage. But is there any team in particular outside of our Falcons that you're really interested in what kind of play they can make for their first-round pick? Is there anybody like you're really eyeing of who's left?
Really, I would say the Steelers, because the Steelers are in a weird position where they have very few holes in their in their roster as a whole. And the holes that they do have, there is evidence to support the idea that their general manager and the people making decisions don't value those positions enough to pick them in the first round. So it's really a question mark where the Steelers go. And I also think that the Steelers are a possible quarterback team. I think the Steelers might really want to pick a guy that can replace Ben Roethlisberger in a year or two. And I think Mason Rudolph could be the surprise pick for the Steelers. So that's kind of a big question mark for me is who the Steelers are going to go with. I think that's like 28th overall or something like that, 27th, 28th, somewhere around there.
Right.
Here we go. Raiders selection. Oakland Raiders select Colton Miller. I said that was the first name I said. The first name I said was Colton Miller. And then I rambled off a whole bunch of other names. Stick with your instincts, Ashton. You know this shit, damn it.
All right, so Colton Miller. That's Colton with a K, everybody. As he is now going to the Oakland Raiders.
Colton Miller is the most athletic offensive tackle in this class by a wide margin.
Well, that actually seemed like quite an enthused endorsement. The draft grade on the network, they gave him a C+. Would you grade higher or lower than that?
I don't know where you're finding these draft grades. I'm guessing it's just on the NFL.com website.
Yeah, it's the instant draft grade that they give. Is C+.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that because I'm watching it on my TV.
Okay, fair enough.
Really,
yeah, I'm watching it on NFL.com for the record. So
right, yeah, I think that Colton Miller is going to be a really good player in the NFL. I think he's a guy that you can start out at right tackle, switch over to left tackle once DeMar Dotson, or I think is it DeMar Dotson? There is either left or right. Look on Oakland. Left tackle Donald Penn, right tackle is actually Vidal. So they need a right tackle right now. They don't have a good right tackle. So their right tackle is going to be Colton Miller in 2018. And I think that's a great pick. I think that Colton Miller, I've been saying all offseason, 6'8" and taller and bigger offensive tackles are the future of the NFL. And Colton Miller is closer to 6'9" than he is to 6'8". He's 6'8" and 5/8. So he is almost 6'9". He is a mammoth of a human being, and he is a freaky athlete, and he is an excellent run blocker, road grader. And as the 2017 season went on over time, he got better and better and better at pass blocking. So I like Colton Miller as an upside pick. And I actually think that I would give it more of a B+, A- grade than NFL.com's C+ grade. And the Bills just traded up again, this time from 22 up to 15, up to 16. This might be Lamar Jackson. Or no, they already got Josh Allen.
Rosen, right?
So they're not going to take another quarterback, I don't think. So, I mean, hell, maybe they go wide receiver. Maybe they get a Cortland Sutton here. That's going to be my pick. I think that the Bills are going to get Cortland Sutton, although I will laugh really hard if they get Calvin Ridley, because that's just one more offensive player that isn't worth his weight in salt.
I think that'll be my new line of questioning as we enter now the second half of round one of the draft is, we'll compare NFL draft instant grades that they give, because they've given quite a few. I think we've seen some A's in there, at least from me watching it on NFL.com. B+, C+ might actually be the lowest grade I've seen for a player thus far. So yeah, I'll keep
oh yeah, absolutely. See, here's the thing, Jan. If people only care about watching tape, if they only care about, oh, was this player an amazing football player in college, they probably won't like Kolton Miller, because the first few games of his 2017 season were not good. He struggled early and he got better as the time went on. But that's my biggest problem with people that only watch tape, is they're only getting a small part of the story. If you watch 5, and that's a lot in general, 5 full game cut-ups of a player, where you watch every single snap that player has over 5, even 6, 7 games, you're still getting less than half of the story. Because you've got to remember, not only do they play 13, 14 games a season, but they play multiple seasons. So if you're not going to watch every single game, you are robbing yourself and that player of a proper evaluation. Bill's selection is in, and I'm curious. I think they might go receiver. Courtland Sutton makes sense. DJ Moore would be great. And they select Tremaine Edmunds. Okay, so they went defense. They got who they think is going to be their quarterback. 7th overall after trading up from 12. 16, they got Tremaine Edmunds. Edmunds is, honestly, maybe the general manager of the Bills does have a process. It's just a shitty one, because to me, both of their picks are guys with all of the traits that you look for at their position that haven't been able to put them together yet. And he's probably thinking, oh, we've got NFL coaches. They're going to coach him up and they're going to turn this raw clay into beautiful pottery. But no, that shit doesn't happen. If a player sucks in college, the odds of them becoming magically good in the NFL because of coaching is very low. Now, the good news is Tremaine Edmunds didn't suck in college. He just doesn't play coverage well. He is, in college, he was a run stuffer. He did some pass rushing stuff. I really don't think he's going to be good in coverage in the NFL, but he is pretty fast, not as explosive as people thought he would be, and he's a huge dude. So worst case scenario, I think they got a solid contributor at the next level. Worst case scenario, I said worst case scenario that time. And best case scenario, I think they got a solid contributor. Worst case scenario, Edmunds is going to be like a 2-down thumper who probably won't be with the team by 2023.
And that is, and see, that's quite a contrast, because you were higher on Colton and they gave him a C+. They gave Tremaine Edmunds as like the instant draft grade an A+.
That's not surprising, because the mainstream media thinks the way that NFL GMs and executives and coaches do, and they see Tremaine Edmunds as this like moldable block of clay that they can turn into something amazing because of how young he is. But the problem is, his stock in my eyes was highly dependent on him being a freaky athlete, which he isn't. He's fast. He runs a 4.53, which is nice at his size, but he is not freaky explosive, which is more important for linebackers than pure speed. And he didn't even do agility drills, so we don't even know if he's flexible or agile. So really, I don't think that the NFL draft media has kept up with the Tremaine Edmunds draft sort of resume as well as they should be. Or at the very least, if they are keeping up with it, they're ignoring important things that don't go with their sort of narrative, which happens a hell of a lot. So Chargers are up next. Derwin James, baby. He's still available.
All right, we will see if he will go to the Chargers. I know Racist Fan Rocks has been asking about the Titans, but I think he wants to wait on that since I think they're going 25th overall in the draft.
Yeah, the Titans are only picking 25th. They actually look really good. I think that the Titans are going to make a run at the Super Bowl this year. I think the Titans are going to be incredibly good this year. Their offense is absolutely loaded. They have a great quarterback. They run like 3 or 4 receivers deep at this point. They have a great power running back. They have a great receiving running back. They have 2 really good tight ends on their roster. Their offense is loaded. So to me, if you're the Titans, you have to go defense. And really it comes down to linebacker or nose tackle. And I don't like the value of a nose tackle in the first round. So if it was up to me, they would go linebacker. Now, whether that's Leighton Vander Esch or Malik Jefferson, it depends on who's available. But either way, I think the linebacker position is the biggest hole on the Titans roster. And especially because we've got to remember that they picked up from the Patriots, Malcolm Butler. So they just got Malcolm Butler from the Patriots. They have Adoree Jackson. They have Logan Ryan. They got pretty damn good in the secondary. They could use a strong safety, but I don't value strong safety as a first-round pick, similarly to the way I barely value nose tackles. Even at nose tackle, though, they did pick up Benny Logan from the Chiefs. So really, they need a linebacker. They need an inside off-ball linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch, if he's available, which he shouldn't be, but the way things are going, he might be. Or Malik Jefferson, who I think is much more likely to be there. And Marshawn Lattimore tweeted, how is Derwin James still on the board? I'm with you, Marshawn. I think Derwin James is an excellent potential prospect. I just think that he's going to be similar to Minkah Fitzpatrick in that I don't think NFL teams are going to understand how best to utilize him. I think Derwin James is going to get miscast as a strong safety in the NFL when I think his best spot is will linebacker. I think he can be a Telvin Smith type will linebacker. And if anything, I think he can be a better version of Telvin Smith, who's already an excellent Pro Bowl type player. But I think Derwin James can be an even better version of that for whatever team picks him up. But again, whatever team does pick him up, I'm guessing they're going to just decide to use him as a strong safety. And he's probably going to flame out and go to a team that's willing to let him play linebacker. In the way, I kind of do think Derwin James is almost like a Mark Barron, because Mark Barron went to the Buccaneers, I think 7th overall, and they used him as a strong safety, and he flamed out, went to the Rams. They let him play linebacker. He's an excellent linebacker for them. So I think Derwin James could end up being a similar story if the team that drafts him really tries to pigeonhole him into that strong safety spot. So now we'll see what the Chargers are going to do. Unfortunately, the draft has slowed down a little bit. The pick only just now came in for the Chargers. And even when it says pick is in, it usually takes like 3 to 5 minutes for Roger Goodell to actually make the announcement. So it might be a little while, brother.
I think we're getting interview here with Saquon Barkley, which is very exciting. Yeah, take us in, as you said. Seahawks are on the clock. We already kind of talked about the Seahawks and the Ravens, so I won't.
I already told you, man. If the Falcons don't trade up here, I will be surprised. I will be happy. I will be very happy because I hate the Falcons trading up every year because we're losing value. But I'll be surprised. So that's an interesting. And if the Seahawks do stay put and they make their pick at 18, ooh, man. I mean, they need help, man. They need edge rusher help. They could go Harold Landry would make sense. The hell, they could go David Bryan and just say, fuck you, Falcons. They could do that. I mean, they could go Maurice Hurst, although I don't think they want to go with 2 consecutive first-round picks of defensive, well, not first round, but first picks in their drafts on defensive tackles that have health problems. So yeah, I don't really know, man. I'm not sure what the Seahawks are going to do. Maybe they go corner. Maybe they go Josh Jackson or someone like that. There we go. The Chargers got Derwin James, and he is listed as a safety. Unfortunate for both him and the organization. But the good news for the Chargers is that they use their safeties like linebackers. So I think Derwin James is going to be a very good player for them. I'm hoping that they continue that trend of using the strong safety as a linebacker. They have a decent free safety in Jaleel Adai already. So Derwin James as their strong safety makes a lot of sense.
All right. So now with that in, Seattle Seahawks are on the clock.
Yeah, man. I got to tell you, Seattle is... Seattle's tough because it's hard to know what they think they need, because so often you think they need one thing and they're just like, we'll get that on day 3. We're just going to draft the guys that we like here. So really, I'm not even 100% sure. They do have decent edge rush talent, but I don't know, man. It's a tough call. They have a lot of young, talented edge rush guys, but like I said, they just lost Richard Sherman, so it would make a lot of sense for them to go with a corner here. Or, like I said earlier, the Falcons are going to trade up and take Taven Bryan.
You know what? I'm actually curious, looking at the remaining teams and people that we really haven't talked about yet. I'm curious about your take on the Cowboys, because being that I have many friends.
Oh, snap. The Packers traded up with the Seahawks, not the Falcons. The Packers are about to get Harold Landry here. I would put money on that. Green Bay is about to take Harold Landry, and he is going to tear it up for this team.
Damn, that's quite a power play. My draft tracker hasn't even updated to show that trade.
Well, remember, though, the Packers originally were picking 14th overall. They traded back to 27th with the Saints, and now they came back up to 18th for the Seahawks. So now the Seahawks are actually picking 27th. The Packers are picking 18th. I'm telling you, the Packers are picking Harold Landry here. It's such an easy call. It makes the most sense. Yeah, this is going to be Harold Landry to me.
All right, we shall see. Trades and moves still being made here on night one of the draft. But again, I did want to get your thoughts very quickly about the Cowboys, given that, Sal, I know, watches the Cowboys. I think he even talked about the Cowboys in chat, like after his one joke thing here. I'm trying to scroll up and find his message. Oh, no, that was about the Broncos that he predicted. Okay, never mind. So, yeah, any thoughts about the Cowboys here? Because I know that they're coming up in a little bit. They're like number 19 to pick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Cowboys need to get Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is their guy. He's the perfect replacement for Dez Bryant, who they let go. Difference is Sutton has basically no ego. He's one of those quiet guys who's just going to get his job done. He's going to be a good locker room guy. He has all the athletic traits that Dez Bryant had, if not more. Really, I think that Courtland Sutton is actually more athletic than Dez Bryant. And, Courtland Sutton is going to be the guy at 19 to me. That's who I've been predicting and stuff. So, yeah, we're going to get Harold Landry to the Packers here at 18, Courtland Sutton to the Cowboys at 19, and then 20 is a wild card. I'm not as sure about 20. We'll see.
All right. Let's see. Okay, now I'm seeing the trade reflected here in my draft tracker. The Green Bay Packers are still on the clock. Let me think about other teams that I've watched. Did the Chiefs also not have a first-round pick, or did they go already?
No, you're correct. The Chiefs also didn't have a first-round pick. They were another team last year. They traded up for a quarterback, and in the process gave up their 2018 first-rounder.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the Chiefs trade, they traded with, God, who was picking 10th last year? I want to say, is that Buffalo? I think that was Buffalo. Yeah, they traded with Buffalo. So that's why Buffalo had 12 and 22, I think. No. Was it? Shit, man, I don't remember. I know the Chiefs traded their first-round pick away in the trade to get Patrick Mahomes last year.
All right, well, Green Bay is still on the clock. Let's see. So, yeah, Chiefs, no first-round pick. Texans, no first-round pick. Seahawks traded way down. Well, didn't trade down, but now they're going 27th, I should say. And Carolina Panthers, the last division rival for the Falcons, currently going at 24. We'll see if that changes. And we'll actually see, now that you kind of put it out into the universe, we'll see if the Falcons can hold steady. Not given the urge to trade up and to devalue the brand. We'll see if they can hold tight and keep that 26th spot.
Packers selection might be coming up.
Now, getting some stats here about the Packers. I know actually.
Oh, wow. The Seahawks got the Packers' third-round pick, and all they moved back was 9. Not all. They moved back a whole 9 spots, and all they got for compensation was a third-round pick. The Seahawks are one of those teams that really value quantity of picks. They want, even if it's not the best value, if you give them 2 picks for their 1 pick, they're all in, man. They're happy. Just let us accumulate picks. We want to fill our roster with as many young players as we can. I appreciate that philosophy. I wish more teams, and really I wish the Falcons would adopt that philosophy more. I think the Seahawks have got it right. Even if the value isn't exceptional, if you give us 2 or 3 picks for our 1, we're getting 2 or 3 potentially good players to your 1. So you're putting all your eggs in one basket. We've got our eggs spread out between 3. So even if 1 or 2 of our baskets dump, we're still getting a good player or 2.
Exactly. And we're here that the pick is in for Green Bay.
Pick's been in for a little bit now. As always, it's going to be a little bit of time before it actually says Packers selection. And Goodell goes up to the podium to make the official announcement. I already told you, man, I'm thinking it's going to be Harold Landry. That boy, Harold Landry is a special player. I think he is going to be a really good pro. He was an excellent run defender in 2015. He did everything. He was an elite overall player in 2016. Got injured, didn't play so well in 2017, which is why I don't like tape watchers. If you only look at the 2017 tape, you're not going to think Landry's that good.
Seems like far too much of a reductionist strategy for me. I would think if you really want to give the best and really the most just evaluation of any player, you should take a far more holistic approach.
Packers.
Really something they do that.
Oh, the Packers didn't go with Harold Landry. They went with the corner, Jair Alexander out of Louisville.
All right, what can you tell us about this corner?
See, this is my first big whiff, like the guy that I just flat out did not see coming. And then really, I don't hate the pick by any means. I'm just surprised that the Packers would opt for a corner over an edge rusher. That's what surprises me. Still, though, I like Jair Alexander. I think he's a very good player. I think you pair him up across from Kevin King, might be the single most athletic cornerback duo in the freaking league right now. That's a freaky athletic cornerback tandem. That's a couple of guys that can physically and are capable physically of covering any receivers in the league. It's just a matter of whether they can have like the technique and the actual skill to pull it off, because they've got the athleticism to do it.
And I mean, you talk about coverage, and you do think that the NFL, it's more about the passing game. So maybe long term, this was a good investment for the Packers. So,
and again, they picked him over a pass rusher. So either one of those guys would have contributed in a big way to the passing game. It's pretty clear to me that Jair Alexander is going to be their slot corner because he is on the shorter side. He's only 5'10", and he is hyper agile. This guy has one of the best agility scores in the league right now. He's very fast. He ran a 4.38. Anytime you can get down to the 4.4 range is freaky. He ran 4.38. He is exceptionally fast. He is exceptionally agile. He is I won't say exceptionally, but he's still very explosive. He is the only real red flag on him is his size. He's a little bit short, but if you put him in the slot, size isn't as important in the slot because you're not worried about playing the sideline. The big thing on the outside that you want size for is because you want guys that can bully, that can shove guys into the sideline, prevent them from making catches, that kind of thing. Well, if you're in the slot, you're in open space. You better have the agility to be able to handle that, and that's exactly what Jair Alexander has. So now the Packers, their left cornerback's going to be Tramon Williams. They still have him around. I actually forgot about Tramon Williams for a second. Their right cornerback, Kevin King, was their second-round pick last year. He is another freaky athlete. He's actually more athletic than Jair Alexander, and he's like 4 inches taller than Jair Alexander, too. So Kevin King, he's going to be their starting outside corner opposite Tramon Williams. They're going to put Jair Alexander in the slot. That's a hell of a corner trio right there. That's a very talented defense they've got going on in Green Bay. So that was a great pick. And now the Cowboys are on the clock. I'm still expecting Courtland Sutton.
All right. Well, Iconic Player One's excited because he said my Cowboys. And I know quite a few people that watch the Cowboys regularly. So this is going to be very interesting.
I know there are a lot of Cowboys fans that are hoping that they get DJ Moore. And that would be a great pick for them. I think DJ Moore is the best wide receiver in this class. So if he would go to the Cowboys, that would be a great pick for them. And it would be very validating for me because then my favorite receiver for the second year in a row would be the first receiver off the board, despite some reports to the contrary of that potentially happening.
All right. Cowboys still on the clock. Like you said, it does take a bit, even when the pick is in. Picking 19 overall in round one. We have 32 teams overall, so there are 13 picks remaining, folks. We have really been barreling through this draft, I feel like. And
I saw Darius Frazier said, do you think the Seahawks go for Shaquem Griffin to pair with his brother Shaquille Griffin? I'm just going to tell you, man, Shaquem Griffin is not a first-round talent. He is kind of a hybrid. He doesn't have a true position in the NFL. He was an edge rusher in college, but he was also 225 pounds at the combine. You don't play 225 players as edge rushers in the NFL. So from a size perspective, he's a linebacker or maybe even a big, strong safety. But from a skill set perspective, he's got the skill set of an edge rusher. So he is not a first-round talent to me. He's very fast, which is nice. He ran a 4.38 at a pretty big size for that kind of the speed to be happening on. But despite the speed and the size, I don't think he has enough other athletic traits that you can really gamble on moving him from edge rusher to safety or linebacker and that being worth a first round pick. Even if it is a first round pick, I think the earliest that I would draft Shaquem Griffin is like middle of the third round. So,
all right.
I like Shaquem Griffin, though. I like him. I like his story. I like him as a player. I want to see him go to a team that's willing to get creative with how they use him. Because to me, if you put him at will linebacker on first and second down, and then in nickel situations, you put him on the edge, he's still going to be a really good edge rusher for you in passing situations. The problem is you don't want him on the line of scrimmage when a team could run the ball. You don't want a 225-pound edge defender when a team can just run right at him, have their 315-pound offensive tackle drive him back 5 yards, shove him on his ass, and then go to another guy and block a second guy. That's not what you want. So you really want Shaquem Griffin to only be on the line of scrimmage rushing the passer in obvious passing situations where you know that there's no chance of the offense running the ball. And even if they do run the ball, it's such a long shot for that they're going to get a first down out of it that you can sacrifice a little bit of your run defense. That's kind of where I am with Shaquem Griffin.
All right. Let's see if we, in the meantime, got any more questions. Oh, no. Iconic Player 1, though. He's still, man, he's praying. Come on, Dallas. Give me something good. Oh, man. How long have you been a Cowboys fan, Iconic? I'm curious.
Yeah, I want to know that, too. How long have you been following the Cowboys? I can tell you, I've been a Falcons fan since 2005, 4 or 5, somewhere around there. I think the first Falcons play that I can distinctly remember was a D'Angelo Hall interception that he ran back for a touchdown. I think that was in 04 or 05. So the Bengals are not next, Racist Fan Rocks. The Lions are next after the Cowboys make their pick. Then the Bengals are after the Lions. So we've got another cat before your Bengals. If you're, I think, no, he's not a Bengals fan. He's a Titans fan, I think, right?
I assumed he was a Titans fan.
Yeah, so
yeah, we are.
Cowboys have their pick in, it looks like. They're all staring at the screen, so they're probably seeing themselves right now. That's why they're all laughing.
Okay.
Given that they're all staring at the screen, that probably means that their pick is either on its way or already in. It's just a matter of actually finding out what the pick is. I think it's probably going to be a wide receiver to help Dak Prescott out, give him an easier job. And man, I'm not really sure what's taken so long. I haven't even seen the official, like, the pick is in. Now I'm seeing the pick is in. Okay. God, that took forever. So yeah, the pick is officially in. My official prediction is Courtland Sutton. My hopeful prediction is DJ Moore. I'm gonna laugh my ass off prediction is Calvin Ridley.
Iconic Player 1's been a Cowboys fan since 2006, so going on 12 years a fan of the franchise.
Oh, nice.
And hopefully that fandom pays off today. We're all pulling for you, brother.
Yeah, they need to get a guard. I know they got Andrew Norwell in the offseason, but they still need another guard. They don't have more than one good one now.
Well, we shall see what they do with it.
They have a decent left tackle in Cam Robinson. They have a really good center in God, I don't even remember his name. I know their center's good. I just forget the name. And their right tackle is actually not bad. I think Jeremy Parnell is their right tackle. He was pretty good last year. He wasn't great by any means, but he was solid, good in the run game, that kind of thing. God, who is their center? I think it's Ben something. Brandon Linder. That's what it is. He's a great player. I really like Brandon Linder. He's awesome.
All right, let's see. We
have a lot of players coming out. A lot of people coming out here to make this announcement with Goodell.
Well, that's interesting. I'm still seeing Sam Darnold here giving an interview with the analysts. I'm waiting for us to go live with the Cowboys pick. I wonder if I click live if we get there. Okay, here we go. Now I'm more up to date. All right, let's see.
Oh, it's a bunch of younger kids.
Okay.
Members of 6 high school football teams.
The 2 tall guys in the middle, I thought they were legit players. Goddamn.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. They've always done stuff like this at the draft because this is like what, my third year watching with you the draft.
Yep. Oh, the Cowboys took LVE. What? That's awesome. That's a great freaking pick, man. Good for you, Cowboys fans.
Especially iconic, specifically in our chat.
Yeah, baby. LVE. You guys love Sean Lee? LVE is going to be your next Sean Lee. He's going to be that dude. He's going to be the heart and soul of your defense going forward. He is going to be that dude. He is this year's Luke Kuechly. He is this year's Patrick Willis. He's this year's Brian Urlacher. He is going to be that dude. He is an elite middle linebacker prospect. He is 6'4", 256 pounds, hyper athletic, not super fast, but definitely fast enough, hyper productive at Boise State in 2017. LVE is my favorite linebacker in this class, and I am so happy for Cowboys fans that you guys got this guy. I've been pounding the table for him since like the 8th overall pick, and finally at 19th overall, he gets taken. So yeah, LVE is my dude, and I wish all the best for him and the Cowboys as a franchise. That's going to be a really healthy pick for them.
Well, I'll be curious, like, what your insights will be when you'll be watching him closely, which we all know you will be. So that's very interesting. Iconic seems thrilled with the pick. So happy for you, Iconic. As the draft rolls along, finally LVE has been taken. He has a home. It's with the Cowboys. And now we go to the Detroit Lions. Where are the Detroit Lions presently? Because I remember there was a season, and this is before I got into football with you, and it was a while back, and I know a lot changes year to year. There was one season, though, where I don't remember them winning a single goddamn game. I mean, where are they now currently? Do they have a good scheme?
Who is this?
The Lions coming up here.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, they're not amazing by any means, but they're pretty good. They're kind of in a weird position where they're almost rebuilding their defense, but their offense looks great. The downside of their offense is that they are paying a hell of a lot of money to Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford didn't play very well in 2017. So it's one of those situations where you hope he either rebounds or you hope that the players around him make him look better than he really is. But I'm hoping if I'm a Lions fan, I'm hoping that Stafford just rebounds because his 2017 was not very good. He got bailed out a lot by his wide receivers, and he's got a very talented receiving core. But man, if they can put things together on offense, if they can get themselves a decent running game, their offensive line looks pretty good on paper. If they can get themselves a decent running game, their defense has a lot of talent on it too. But they need a second defensive end to pair with Ziggy Ansah, because Ziggy Ansah is a pretty good defensive end that they are already using at right defensive end. So they need a guy at left defensive end, but their defense is kind of backwards. Because Ziggy Ansah, he's more of a big, strong power guy. I think they want more of a speed guy on the left side. So I don't really think they're going to go edge rusher here 20th overall. I'll tell you what, low key, I wouldn't be surprised if they got Taven Bryan, the guy I've been telling you about, or I wouldn't be surprised if they went running back here. I could see them going Darius Geis here.
All right, we shall see. Let's see. Yeah, the Lions are still on the clock.
Yeah.
So just to recap so far, everybody, if you're just joining us, New York actually, no, let me go back even further. I'm sorry. Cleveland Browns took Baker Mayfield. Giants took Saquon Barkley. Jets took Sam Darnold. Cleveland Browns took Denzel Ward. Broncos took Bradley Chubb. Colts took Quentin Nelson. Buffalo Bills took Josh Allen. Bears took Raquan Smith. San Francisco 49ers took Mike McGlinchey. Cardinals took Josh Rosen. Dolphins took Minkah Fitzpatrick. Buccaneers took Vita Vea. Redskins took Daron Payne. Saints took Marcus Davenport. Raiders took Colton Miller. Bills took Tremaine Edmonds. Chargers took Derwin James. Packers took Jaire Alexander. Cowboys took Leighton Vander Esch. And yeah, that's been all the picks so far. So now we're really moving along. We're way past the halfway point, brother. What have you thought about round one for this draft class?
I think that there have only been like 2, maybe 3 really boneheaded picks. And when I say maybe 3, that maybe third is Tremaine Edmonds. And it's funny that the actual boneheaded pick and the possible boneheaded pick were both made by the same team, the Buffalo Bills. And then the other boneheaded pick that I would say would be Josh Rosen to the Cards. So,
all right.
I haven't hated any other picks. I mean, really, actually, I take that back. I hated the Mike McGlinchey to San Francisco pick. I don't understand that pick at all. But again, I do think he's going to be a solid player.
Right. Pick is in for the Lions. Bengals are now on the clock. And I can tell you, Iconic will probably be able to recline back and enjoy the rest of this draft. And Flaming Shark said the Raiders made a move.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about the Raiders. I know they traded back from 10 to 15 earlier. But I'm not seeing anything about them right now. So we'll see if anything comes up.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything reflected about that right now either. And the Falcons still have a move. They might actually hold their position, dude.
Oh, I know. It makes me so happy, especially if we actually end up with Taven Bryan, the guy that I've been saying we're going to get this whole time.
Yeah.
That'd be really nice.
All right, let's see here.
Flaming Shark in chat said that the Raiders got Martavis Bryant for a 3rd round pick. I don't know if I like that move for the Ravens. Or for the Raiders. I think that might be a win for the Steelers because they weren't going to use Martavis that much anyway. They're extremely happy with the pairing of Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. Those are 2 exceptional receiver talents right there. Martavis, he's out. He's in the Raiders now, and they got a 3rd round pick for him. And now the Lions are picking. They're going to either go interior O-line or D-line.
Let's see where they will go.
Ragnow, wow, they went center. Good for you, Lions. That is a nice pick right there.
Okay.
That's one of those guys that I was not expecting to get drafted this high because I didn't think the NFL was smart enough to draft him this high. And the Lions just said, listen, man, we aren't as dumb as you think. And they went and got their guy, and Frank Ragnow is a great pick for them. And hey, crazy enough, we might get 2 centers in a row here. The Bengals are another team that desperately needs center help. They might go get James Daniels. So we might have 2 centers, boom, boom, back to back, 20 and 21 right in a row. Frank Ragnow to the Lions, James Daniels to the Bengals. I could see that happening for sure. Great pick though for the Lions. Frank Ragnow is a great addition to the team as a whole. Because really, you've got Taylor Decker at left tackle, TJ Lang at right guard, Ricky Wagner at right tackle. You still need a left guard, but now you've got your center. You are 1 player away from having all 5 players on your offensive line shored up. And that is a huge positive for this team because, like I said, they have a lot of talent on offense. They have a talented offensive roster. They have a reasonably talented defensive roster. Their safeties, their corners, they've got a lot of talent on that defense. There are very few holes left on this starting lineup, and they just filled arguably the most important one. In my opinion, I know this isn't necessarily a commonly held belief in NFL circles, but in my opinion, center is the most important position on the offensive line. A lot of people think left tackle is because, blindside this, blindside that. But to me, I would rather prevent interior pressure than edge pressure because I would rather prevent the guys that are closest to the quarterback from getting to him than the guys that are further away from getting to him. Now, obviously, ideally, you prevent any of them from getting to your quarterback. But if I had to choose between elite interior line play and mediocre tackle play, or elite tackle play with elite interior line play, I'll take the elite interior line play with mediocre tackle play any day of the week. Because to me, the interior line are the guys that are preventing your quarterback from being able to get like people shoved in his face. They're allowing him to step up into the pocket if edge pressure gets to him. Those are the guys that are most responsible for the inside running game. So really your interior line, I value more than most. And they just got a really talented center. There are people who legitimately think that Frank Ragnow was the most talented interior offensive lineman in this class after Quentin Nelson, regardless of position on the interior, because it could be left guard, center, or right guard. And Ragnow is a guy that just recently got injured, but should be back and healthy at this point. And he was a freaky athlete when he tested at his pro day. Biggest downside is his 3-cone drill. And really, I don't know if there's even much of a correlation between 3-cone drill and centers being successful in the NFL. As long as you're a smart guy and you're powerful and you're explosive, which Ragnow most definitely is, he is going to be one hell of a catch for the Lions. That was a great pick. I feel like I've been ranting for like 10 minutes about how good this pick was, but yeah, I really like Frank Ragnow. And now the Bengals, like I said, I hope they go center too. I want them to get James Daniels.
All right, we shall see if they follow the trend. Surprisingly good pick there for the Lions, according to your analysis. Get some chat reactions to that. And
another center, if they don't like Daniels as much, the other center who didn't do any athletic testing that I need to kind of try and remember, because really I really focus a lot on athletic testing. So guys that don't do athletic testing, I tend to just forget and leave by the wayside. But a guy that didn't do testing because he actually tore his pec doing a bench press, which is what you do at the combine before you do the athletic testing stuff. Billy Price out of Ohio State is low-key a guy that could be another center that the Bengals could take here. The Bengals need a center more than anything. So really it could come down to either James Daniels or Billy Price. But either way, the Bengals, I think, are best suited to take another center here.
We shall see if they take your advice. And again, pick is in, so now the Ravens are on the clock. And again, my mind does go to Abel, who I know is a huge Ravens fan. You know, me, and Abel.
And they took Price. The Bengals took Billy Price. They took the guy that I almost forgot about. I'm glad I reminded myself. I'm glad I remembered that Billy Price was a thing because, man, the athletic testing, unfortunately, could not get done by him. He had a torn pec. So he's going to have to recover from that. And the Bengals are going to be very happy with him when he does get back from his injury. I imagine he'll be a little bit on the not so good side as a rookie, but he'll probably have a huge leap forward as he recovers from the pec tear in year 2. So I'm expecting Billy Price to be someone that people see as a bust after year 1, but then years 2, 3, and 4, fully expecting him to make a full recovery and play extremely well.
Do you think I think you already kind of answered this question, but given that he wasn't able to get his numbers in for the combine because of the torn pec, do you think a lot of people will see this as kind of a gamble by the Bengals? You know, because
I think it is a gamble because not only are you gambling on him being athletic without being able to see the objective numbers as to how athletic he is, but you're also gambling on him making a full recovery. So he is really, when you draft an injured player, you're gambling regardless. So it's definitely a gamble. But if the gamble pays off, Billy Price is going to be a really good player for them.
I almost have to respect that they took that gamble, honestly. I mean, sometimes
personally, I would have taken James Daniels. I like James Daniels a lot more than I like Billy Price, but I know that NFL types really love Billy Price. And the Titans just traded up. Oh, that's interesting. They're going to go with Malik Jefferson. I bet you they go Malik Jefferson here because he is like the only guy left that I could see them wanting to leapfrog the Patriots to get. And that's exactly what they did. The Patriots pick at 23. The Titans just moved up from 25 to 22. The Ravens now pick at 25, but the Titans just moved up to 22 overall. I think the Titans are going to get Malik Jefferson here. Or alternatively, now I'm not as big of a fan of this pick, but he is discussed in this realm of players. They could go Rashaan Evans. Now, I don't think Rashaan Evans is going to be a very good NFL player. I don't have him very high on my board at all. He's outside of my top 70, for Christ's sake. But he is a guy that gets a lot of talk as being a potential mid to late first round pick. And he plays a position that the Titans have a need at. So the Titans might have just traded up to take an inside linebacker. The question is whether it's Malik Jefferson or Rashaan Evans. If it's Jefferson, I'm a fan of the pick. If it's Evans, I'm not so much a fan of the pick.
All right.
I want to believe in the Titans, though, because they made some really good picks last year. I like what they've been doing in the draft recently. I want to believe in them. So I'm hoping it's Malik Jefferson. That makes a lot of sense to me.
So any other players though besides Jefferson that could make sense? I mean, maybe they are thinking something different. What would be the next best thing in your mind if not Jefferson?
Maybe a safety, maybe like a Justin Reed. I think Justin Reed is like a bigger guy. He might be able to play strong safety for them. Let me look it up. Justin Reed. How big is if he's 6'1", he might be their guy. He is a little bit short of 6'1", but he might still be the guy. I don't know. I kind of want to believe that they aren't in the market for a safety in the first round. They need a strong safety more than anything, and Justin Reed is really more of a free safety, so maybe that won't be the match. I can't really think of anyone else that they would get, though. I mean, unless they want to go like, oh man, it's a tough call because like all the other positions that they really need, I don't really think there are any great players left at those positions. So it's definitely a tough call. Maybe they go guard. Maybe they go with like an Isaiah Wynn or a Will Hernandez or a Braden Smith would be interesting. Someone like that. But I really think the pick here is linebacker. That is like the most dire need on that team. They need a linebacker like the Falcons need a defensive tackle. Like it is like they have a really strong roster top to bottom, but there's a glaring hole at one position. For us, it's tackle. For them, it's linebacker. So I think it makes the most sense.
All right. All right. We'll see. Titans pick is in. And then the Patriots now are on the clock. Yeah, these next few picks are going to be interesting for me because, I mean, we've been talking about New England Patriots, the crumbling dynasty. Panthers are a division rival. Baltimore Ravens because of Abel. You know, we have that Facebook trio, the three of us, the Birdhouse. So I'm definitely thinking about Abel for the Baltimore Ravens. And then, of course, our Falcons. So
the Ravens this year are basically doing what I want the Falcons to do and just trading back and accumulating draft capital. They did trade away their 6th round pick as well as number 22 overall in exchange for the Titans' 4th round pick and number 25 overall. So they traded back 3 spots and then swapped their 6th for the Titans' 4th. So they moved up 2 rounds in exchange for moving back 3 spots in the first round, just to give you an idea of the value there. So yeah, the Ravens are just accumulating that draft capital, which I definitely approve of. It's a great move. And now the Titans pick is in, and looks like someone's on the stage, but I don't think that's Goodell. So I'm curious where Goodell is. There's Goodell. And now Goodell coming up. I'm telling you, it's either going to be Malik Jefferson or Rashaan Evans. I'm pulling for Malik, but it could be Rashaan Evans because he's another linebacker prospect that gets talked about in this range.
All right, let's see who's got it.
They went with Rashaan Evans. So I'm not a big fan of that pick. I actually was hoping that John Robinson knew better than to make that kind of pick. But they do have him listed as a linebacker. I'm guessing they're going to use him as sort of a 2-down thumper at inside linebacker. And when we get into pass rushing situations, they're going to move him down to the line of scrimmage, put him on the edge, and have him go after the passer because he is not very good in coverage. They straight up at Alabama in college, they took him off the field or put him up on the line of scrimmage in obvious passing situations because this dude can't cover. So Rashaan Evans isn't a horrible athlete, but he's not the kind of athlete that you want covering tight ends and running backs in the NFL. And you're really banking on him being able to rush the passer in nickel and passing situations, because otherwise this is not a very good pick.
All right, well, they're all smiles. And now, again, Patriots on the clock. These next few picks going to be very interesting because hell, even beyond the Falcons, you've got the Seahawks, which, you know, they're always a team, I think, on the forefront of people's minds, given the popularity they got a few seasons back. And then, like you said, the team you were most curious about, the Steelers, coming in at 28 right now. So very interesting next few picks. And then it's the Jaguars, which
well, the Patriots are picking right now, 23rd overall.
Right.
And then it's going to be Carolina, 24th, and then the Ravens, and then us.
Which, yeah, that's going to be very interesting to think about.
You know, it's interesting. The Patriots have a lot of defensive tackles on their roster, but because of the way that their previous defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach of the Lions, Matt Patricia, likes to run his defenses, they don't have any pass rushing defensive tackles on their roster. The way that they basically min-maxed their roster. They said, all right, Defensive tackles, you guys are all run stuffers. Edge rushers, you guys are all pass rushers. And they've kind of been changing that this offseason. They got an edge rusher who is bigger and stronger and plays the run better. And they brought in like a huge, like one-dimensional, two-down, like run-stuffing defensive tackle. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went for more of like a pass-rushing defensive tackle, like a three-tech. I'm hearing rumors Maurice Hurst might fall clean out of the first and maybe even the second day of the draft. But it would not surprise me if the Patriots kicked the Falcons right in the nuts here and took Taven Bryan.
Ooh.
Alternatively, it would be a very Patriots move to pick Malik Jefferson here, given that I was just talking about the Titans should have gotten him and they chose not to. So
we shall see.
They could also go with guy that I was talking about earlier, potentially, Joshua Jackson. He's a corner out of Iowa because they let go of their number one corner in Malcolm Butler. He's a Titan now. So I could see them going with him. I could see them going with Malik Jefferson. They need a left tackle pretty freaking badly. Their left tackle right now, their starting left tackle is Adrian Waddle, who was like a decent right tackle for the Lions in a few like preseason games, but I don't know if he's ever played well in the regular season. And he was a right tackle, not a left tackle. And like, yeah, they definitely need a left tackle. Maybe a Connor Williams here would make a lot of sense if they wanted to just replace their left tackle immediately. So there are a lot of options they could go with here. That's what I'm saying, man. There are a lot of holes on the Patriots roster that people don't really talk about. Like they need a really good left tackle. They need some pass rushing defensive ends and really defensive tackles too. They need a linebacker. They could go for a corner or two. Like they are in not as good of shape as people let them on to be.
And yeah, I mean, like we said, crumbling dynasty. So we'll see if they can make any repairs here. Again, the next few teams picking, to me, this is where, and again, just as a casual, this is where the draft really starts to pick up a little bit because you've got the dominant but seemingly fading Patriots, losing the latest Super Bowl to the Eagles, then the division rival and the Panthers. I mean, that's a given that we're always going to be, on the lookout for that. And, Saints getting Davenport that already gave us kind of a lump in the proverbial throat. So, and then who did the Bucs get again? Oh, yeah, Vita Vea. So clearly the Saints came out looking like more of the threat. So it'll be interesting to see how the Panthers respond. And then, Ravens, obviously, again, Abel's team. Going to be very curious where they go. And then our Falcons, man. Be interested to see what position they pick. And mainly your reaction to it, because I'll always be able to gauge, like, oh, was this good, or oh, was this meh, or even just flat out bad.
I'm hearing the Patriots might be talking trade, but I haven't actually seen anything show up on my TV yet.
I haven't seen anything show up on my NFL player. So we're getting an interview right now with Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Nice.
Yeah, the clock is running on the Patriots here. What's going to be interesting, brother, is when you and I get off of here, because I'm sure it won't take the Falcons YouTube channel very long just to get Quinn's comments on the pick that they made. So I always love hearing their reasoning behind what made them arrive at a pick that they made, because they're the ones managing from the inside. As we're now at 2 minutes and 29 seconds left. Oh,
God, the camera just panned over to Lamar Jackson. Oh, man, that would be hilarious. If the Patriots went for Lamar Jackson, if they actually bit on that bait, oh, my God, that would be the true sign of the crumbling dynasty, people.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Let's see it. Let's do it.
The Patriots are picking. They're picking, John. They're picking.
Yeah, you're ahead of me, partner. You're ahead of me. Let me see if I can. Oh, yeah, pick is in. I have to click live occasionally just to keep it all in sync. And now.
D tackle, D end, linebacker, corner. I don't know. It's a wide variety of different positions that they need help at. They have a good center. They have a good pair of guards. They have a good right tackle. They have obviously a good quarterback, but they need a backup. They have a pretty good receiving core. They have great running backs. They have good safeties. So there are a lot of positions that they are set at, but there are still quite a few that they need help at. I'm going to unmute my television so I can hear what the pick is as soon as Goodell steps up to the podium, which hasn't quite happened yet. So Patriots are making their first of 2 picks here in the first round. Next one is going to be 31st overall, which is their original pick. 23rd overall pick here that they're going to be using is from the Rams, who they traded Brandon Cooks to in order to get this pick. Are you still there, John?
I am still here, partner. I'm just looking like you are. See who they picked.
All right. I'm seeing now it's switched over from pick is in to Patriot selection. That's how you know shit's going down. Patriot selection. Here's Goodell. And he's saying with the 23rd pick in the 2018 NFL draft, the New England Patriots select Isaiah Wynn. Wow. That's shocking to me. Oh, they have him listed as a tackle? Holy shit. Oh, my God.
I'm guessing by your reaction that was a waste of a pick there from New England.
Well, no, they have him listed as a tackle. Do they think he's going to be their starting left tackle? He is a guard. And the thing is, they have 2 really good guards. Their right guard, Shaq Mason, is a really good player. Their left guard, Joe Thuney, is a really good player. And here's the kicker. They're both under 26 years old. So they have a pair of really good young guards, and they go and draft a guard, and he's listed at tackle. I don't know what they're doing, man. I don't know what they're doing.
Crumbling dynasty.
I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. That pick makes no sense to me. Because here's the thing. He's listed as a tackle according to NFL's draft coverage. So if they seriously think that they just drafted their franchise left tackle in a 6'2" Isaiah Wynn, I think they're smoking something in Patriots in the facility. I don't know what, but it's not something I have any interest in joining in on. So that makes no sense to me. And the alternative is they drafted him to play guard, in which case, who's he supplanting? Is he going to supplant Thuney, who's young and on like his, I think, going into his 3rd year in the NFL and has played well in his first 2? Is he going to supplant Shaq Mason, who's going into his 4th? Like, you basically just drafted a backup. You either just drafted a backup or an awful left tackle replacement. So either way, what the hell are you doing, New England?
Maybe that Super Bowl loss got to them a little bit.
I think the Super Bowl win over the Falcons got to them in a sense that it went to their head, and they think that they can just do no wrong, and everything that they do is just going to be a good decision no matter whether it makes sense or not, because they're the Patriots and they can do no wrong.
Oh, we got the Panthers on the clock, division rival here.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you who I hope they don't pick. DJ Moore and Courtland Sutton. I keep saying that all these different times. Please don't pick DJ Moore and please don't pick Courtland Sutton. I think the most likely pick here is Justin Reed, but again, I'm not super familiar with the Panthers. They could probably go for a guard too, because they just lost Andrew Norwell. He was an all-pro guard. He just signed with the Jags this offseason, and they have done very little to replace him from what I can tell. So they could go guard. They could go Will Hernandez. They could go Braden Smith here. I think Braden Smith would probably be the best pick here just because he can play guard or tackle. And I think he was honestly my best tackle prospect in this class, even though he didn't even play any tackle in college. He was a guard in college, but he's got tackle size, tackle athleticism, tackle arms, tackle everything. So I love Braden Smith. He would make a lot of sense here. But really the most commonly seen, most commonly mocked name that I see to the Panthers here at 24 is safety out of Stanford, Justin Reed.
Okay. All right. So we've got Panthers, Ravens, and Falcons. Ooh.
Super Blue, I'm watching this on TV. John can't watch it on TV. He doesn't actually have cable in his house. He's watching it on NFL.com. So NFL has coverage. I'm watching it on the NFL Network on my TV. So that's I'm not really sure what you want to do, if you want to watch it on the NFL.com like what John's doing, or if you just want to stick with whatever you're watching, which I guess you're saying that you're watching it on Fox. So either way, man, that's up to you. However you feel like keeping up with the draft is up to you. There are a lot of options. They really go out of their way to make sure that pretty much anybody can keep up with this stuff, which I love.
Yeah, they really do. That's one thing I like about the draft is you don't really go through any of the hassle to be like, oh, I need to be on this or I need to do this. No, it's a very straightforward kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, we have got left the Panthers who are on the clock, Ravens, Falcons, Seahawks, Steelers, Jaguars, Vikings, Patriots, Eagles. Let's talk about the Jaguars because, I mean, they did, I think it was just this past season, they did face the Patriots, and a lot of Jaguars fans were actually very impressed by their performance despite it being a loss. What do the Jaguars need, and what kind of big play could they make to really reassert themselves for the 2018 season? 2018-2019, I should say, season.
Well, they did a good job this offseason signing Andrew Norwell. I think that was a really good pickup for them. He was like an all-pro kind of guard last season, and they needed offensive line help. They have a really good center in Brandon Linder. I like their right tackle, Jeremy Parnell, and their left tackle in Cam Robinson. My big question mark for them is who is their other starting guard? Because they have Andrew Norwell to start left guard. I don't necessarily think they want to go into 2018 with AJ Cann or Brandon Thomas starting at right guard. So they could definitely go for a guard here. Really, they did sign Dante Moncrief, but I don't necessarily think he is their best bet as an X receiver. So they might go with X receiver here. I think they like Keelan Cole though. So even if they don't want to like really dedicate themselves to Dante Moncrief, they have Keelan Cole, they have D.D. Westbrook, they have Marquise Lee. So really, I would argue that if they go wide receiver at all in this draft, it shouldn't be in the first round. I definitely don't think they need a tight end because they have ASJ, they have Niles Paul, and even if they just want a pure blocker, they have Ben Koyak. I think they're set at tight end. They're set at running back. They are not moving on from their quarterback situation, so I wouldn't put a penny on that. They're set on the defensive line. They're really good as far as their linebackers go. Really, they only need a guard. Like that is like the number one position that they absolutely desperately need. And here are the Panthers.
All right.
Oh, shit.
Who'd they pick?
Panthers got our guy, John. Panthers got DJ Moore. They got the best receiver in the class, and it's validating to me because DJ Moore was the first wide receiver taken in this class, and he was my WR1, my best wide receiver in this class. But what the shit? He went to the Panthers. God damn it.
Yeah, fuck, man. All right, well, they got DJ Moore. That's a bit deflating, but now Baltimore is on the clock, and we didn't trade. We kept our position, so look at that. Because we will be going after the Ravens. Whew, man, our division is going to be pretty intense this season, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, the NFC really as a conference, the entire conference is just slaughtering the AFC right now.
Yeah. Really, the most just based on your analysis, and I wouldn't even say underwhelming because you even said like good player, but I forget what your caveat was with the Buccaneers, the Vita Vea pick. But I mean, I know with the Saints, Marcus Davenport, you definitely sold that. That was a big deal for them. And now DJ Moore going to the Panthers. Damn. I'm really curious how we're going to respond to that.
Shit. I hate that he went to the Panthers. God damn. Why do all my favorite players go to division rivals? Last year, Deshaun Hall, Marcus Williams, and Marshawn Lattimore were three of my favorite players in that class. And Deshaun Hall went to the Panthers, and Williams and Lattimore went to the Saints. And now this year, the Saints got my edge rusher number 1, Davenport, and my wide receiver 1 went to the Panthers. God damn it. At least the Bucks are sucking dick.
You just need to start hating players, man. You can't be so open with your love. You just gotta be like, no, they
players.
Suck.
I do. I swear there are players that I hate. I promise there are. We've already seen one, Josh Allen. I can't stand Josh Allen. I think he's an awful prospect, but
he's being interviewed right now. That's hilarious.
He went to an AFC team, so I don't worry about that. They're not in the same conference as us, so I don't care.
You need to do better by the NFC, bruh. You're really letting it fall down.
I'm sorry. By the way, for those of you that are unfamiliar with DJ Moore, my pro comp for DJ Moore, Andre Johnson. And I know that doesn't mean much to you, John, but someone who follows football, who knows, has been following for a while, will know who Andre Johnson is and know how much weight that comparison holds.
All right. Man. Panthers and Saints looking so scary because, like, I am the noob. Again, like, we've even had some fun, like, I love seeing John trying to try, I think was a quote from Sal. But even I know that some of this shit is bad. Like, oh, man, Panthers and Saints, those are not going to be fun games this year at all. I mean, maybe, though, we could still respond strongly, so... 1 second, partner. I just got a message I want to answer. But yeah, I am very much concerned about our division this year.
Falcons are going to go like 7-9, but they're going to be like 1-5 within the division. And then outside of the division, they'll have like a decent record. They'll be like 6-4 outside of the division.
And yeah, I mean, my God. Because another thing, too, is it really does come down to, like, how are we going to respond to this? Because it could happen that we make a shitty pick, at least in your mind. That's really what I would obviously base it on, because I don't know fuck all. But I'm hoping that we're coming out with something impressive, man, because I remember that Moore footage. And that hurts, because I love wide receivers. They're like, I'd say them and running backs are my two favorite classes. As a guy that's slowly, like, snail-like pace growing in his football knowledge. Love wide receivers because I'm that cliche. And running backs I really grew to love after seeing the Falcons. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. Who's the one guy that I'm like, he's going to be good, and then he turned out to be good?
Devontae?
Yeah, Devontae Freeman. Thank you. I had a major brain fart there. So Devontae really gave me a new appreciation for the running back class. And I got to say, because Marcus Williams of the Saints, he's a safety, right? Or no?
Yes.
He's a safety. I watched some tape of him because I remember a tweet where, like, a reporter said that Marcus Williams, like, when he lost that game against the Vikings, threw his helmet, fell in the locker room, and he cried because, like, he really wanted that win bad. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that passion, even if it didn't go his way. And I watched some of his footage, and I'm like, you know what? Safety's going to be fucking legit. So I'm slowly making my way there, guys. I think you give it 10 more drafts, and maybe I'll actually be able to hold opinions myself. You never know. Stranger things have happened. So
you did hold some of your own opinions this year. Remember, we went through and you gave some grades to some players.
Yeah, that is. Well, I mean, I think mainly I feel like I was reiterating more of the NFL's grades, like instant grades, remember? But
I mean earlier in the year when we went through and watched players and you gave them your own little grades out of 10, remember?
Oh yeah. I mean, we did do that. Yeah, and I really just needed you to break down like what one should look for.
Yeah, I know, but if we keep doing that every year, you'll learn, man. You'll learn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking with all the free time that I'm going to have this summer, which, God, I really cannot wait for. Maybe I should invest in like a Football for Dummies book or something since I'm the reading type. Maybe that would help me out. And then when you say something, I could be like, well, actually, just really puff my chest out and be that hot shit. That'd be fucking hilarious. Oh, Pick is in here.
So here's what I'm hoping, and I'm hoping this. I'm sorry, Abel. I'm not hoping this because I hate you or I want the Ravens to fail. I'm hoping this so that it's not an option for the Falcons. I'm hoping this is Calvin Ridley, because if the Falcons pick Calvin Ridley, I'm fucking done.
Somebody said, oh yeah, Darius was saying you underrate Ridley. He said that a while back, but that's funny. That's actually like a line of dissension between you and Darius Frazier. So we shall see. Yeah. All right, Abel, we're pulling for you, bud. We know you're not. I'm
not a fan of Calvin Ridley at all. The thing is, like, I understand that he runs clean routes, but he doesn't check a lot of the boxes that I look for. He had his college dominator was really low, was right around 30%. He broke out at like almost 21 years old. He's an older prospect. He's going to be 24 this year. He's undersized. He's not explosive. He can't accelerate very well. I just don't like Calvin Ridley. He's not in my top 15 wide receivers in this class, and he's getting talk like he's going to be like a top 2 or 3 guy. So Ravens selection is up. I'm hoping they pick Ridley just so that we don't get him. But you know, if they don't pick him, then I wouldn't be surprised if we got him, and that would piss me off beyond belief. And
all right.
Of course, then it would be 2 years in a row that the Falcons picked a guy 26th overall that I didn't agree with, that I would have to go again.
The worst emotional cocktail, because again, I just really piggyback off of your opinions because I trust the authority that you've gained from all your research and shit. The worst cocktail imaginable is the fear from the Saints side.
My God. That might be worse than Calvin Ridley. They got Hayden Hurst.
Oh God, that laugh, that signature laugh. Oh, Abel.
Oh, Abel, I'm so sorry. Ozzie has lost it, my friend. Ozzie Newsome needs to retire after this year. That was bad.
The NFL gave it an A-, and like you're laughing your ass off.
Again, though, that's because of the mainstream media, the you know, like the group think kind of thing. Like they see Hayden Hurst as a good player. He's not. He's not athletic. Dude, here's the thing. This is an NFL rookie who by the end of his rookie contract will be almost 30 years old. He turns 25 this year.
Oh, God.
This is not good for Ravens fans. Abel, I am so sorry. You guys didn't get DJ Moore, but you got Hayden Hurst.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
bro, we're laughing now, but oh God, it's our turn at bat. Oh God.
I know. We're gonna take Ridley, and I'm gonna throw a fucking hissy fit. I swear.
Because I'm telling you, I was getting ready to say the worst emotional cocktail would be fear on the Saints side, fear on the Panthers side. We both seem kind of meh about the Bucks, you know, given your analysis. But if you're pissed at the Falcons side, combined with the fear of the Saints and the Panthers side, we are fucked. I am not looking forward to this season at all. Oh God. Oh God.
Oh
Panthers got DJ Moore.
Carolina got DJ Moore.
Yeah. God damn it.
Oh God, that hurt to say. That, like, I said it and then I felt like a gut punch afterwards.
I mean, I know a lot of my dreams could never happen. Like, I wanted us to get Barkley. You said that wasn't going to happen, so I accepted it. DJ Moore, I think we even said, right, we were watching the tape, like, it was possible. Like, maybe not even likely, but there was that possibility there. And fucking Panthers ruined the dream. Now I hope Panthers go extinct, except for Black Panther. I still have positive opinions, but fuck the Panthers.
Oh, God. Dude, the Falcons, I really, really hope they just get Taven Bryan. Just make the predictable pick. Pick the military brat. Pick the guy that fits everything you want in a player. Please, Dan Quinn, be predictable. Please be predictable. Please get Taven Bryan. Please get Taven Bryan. Oh, God. Oh, God. This is bad. This is
what I've been looking forward to, though, because this is our team, brother. There's no more like, oh, well, this and that. I mean, there still is that, but now we've got that subjective element of this is our team. Where are we going? So I'm looking forward to this, even if tentatively.
Falcons pick is in.
Oh, God. I'm not even going to look.
Anxious aardvark, John. Anxious aardvark. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, they're not even going to give it right away, right? Because we still haven't even cut to Goodell.
Yeah, no.
Oh, God. So all this anxiety is going to build up. I'm telling you, man, I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to wait for your reaction. And I'm not expecting anything good. Because weren't you mad about our picks last year? Like, I feel like you were more
I was very mad about our first pick last year, yeah.
Well, maybe that trend won't continue. I don't know.
Oh, God.
At least James is the most relatable person to me in this chat. Who did the New York Lakers draft?
Falcons selection. Here we go.
Oh, not looking.
This is going to be such a disaster. I just feel it. Here we go. Oh, boy. Oh, God. And Atlanta Falcons select. Oh no!
It was Calvin Ridley, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. God damn it!
So let's just remind you what you've done because you love so openly. DJ Moore belongs to the Panthers, and because you also hate openly, Calvin Ridley is now at the Falcons. Are you proud of yourself? They gave us an A, if that means anything. Oh my God. No, in all seriousness, though, I'm really not looking forward to this season now. I mean, there's still 2 days left, right, of the draft because Thursday and Friday. So I'm sure we'll be okay. Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy if I was going to a team with Julio Jones on it either.
And you've been saying like you feel like Julio might be winding down just a little bit, and Julio might be thinking, man, all right, who's going to be my replacement, man? Oh, Calvin Ridley. Oh, shit. Oh, man.
God, that is a truly awful pick.
Man, James, you invest so much more in LinkedIn than I do. I'm sorry. I can't say anything besides you just being so down because I know you really didn't want this. Oh, man. You know what I love, too? Just this little extra kick to the balls. We actually did something you wanted us to do, and that's like hold our position, know our value, know our worth, and we use it on this. That's great.
Calvin Ridley is going to be a good player, but he sure as hell isn't ever going to be a great one.
Well, they all seem happy. Oh, Calvin Ridley is crying, though. I do got a feel for that. I mean, these are human beings at the end of the day. It's got to mean the world to him. Hey, very emotional. Hopefully they were happy tears. It could just be like, oh, shit, man. This isn't where I wanted to go. Well, out of Alabama, 224 receptions in career. Apparently, that's the second most in school history. And 19 receiving touchdowns. It's also second in school history, so that is interesting. Now we have got the Seahawks, Daniel Bryan's favorite team. God, it's about the only bit of wrestling you're probably gonna get in this video, folks. Is Daniel Bryan, go Seahawks!
Don't buy the hype on Calvin Ridley. He's never gonna be great. He's probably gonna be good for a while, but he's never gonna be elite.
Well, them's the breaks. Oh wow. Well, James, your analysis might even be worse than mine, which oddly enough makes me feel better. Oh man.
No, James, Calvin Ridley's not white. Don't worry. He still can't play sports ball, but he's not white.
Sports ball, that's such an odd phrase. It doesn't even hit the ear right to me.
It really doesn't, but I don't give a shit anymore.
So the birdhouse is really covered in a lot of bird poop then, right? Because we didn't like Abel's pick. And we got Calvin Ridley, so... Oh, man. Oh, there's still one other bird team. Well, Seahawks, I guess, are a bird team. And then you got the Eagles, Super Bowl champions.
Oh, God, I'm going to go to the Falcons message board to see what people are saying about the Calvin Ridley pick.
Oh, please do. I'd love to hear other reactions from the fan base.
I guarantee you most people are going to be happy about it because, hive mind, people are going to be happy about who we got regardless of if they're good or not. But you know what? I think that selection broke the website, so maybe it won't even load. This happens times of high traffic is like the website just straight up slows to a crawl, and if not, just 404's out altogether.
I gotta tell you, it's not just so much like who we picked; it's who our rivals picked as well. Like I am nervous about our division this year.
Yeah,
I am, especially the Saints and the Panthers. I am going to be very anxious, Aardvark, for those matchups. Oof.
Oh my God.
You better step the fuck up, Calvin.
Dude, the Saints are going to be so good this year, and the Panthers are going to be so good this year. We might go like 5-11 this year.
Oh shit, dude, that's horrible. That's
I
not even good
know.
enough for a wild card spot, right?
No, definitely not. That's not playoffs. That's like top 10 pick next year.
Yeah, oh my god.
Oh,
Quinn, I believed in you.
I tried to, but Jesus Christ.
Uh,
Oh man.
this really this really sucks.
Well, the Seahawks are on the clock now, so maybe they'll
I
get.
mean, I'm just busy kind of just thinking about the season that we might be in.
Dude, watch though. Watch the Seahawks get Taven Bryan, the guy that I wanted us to get, that I thought we were gonna get. I mean, he fits their mold too because he's a freaky athlete for his size. Like, he is a really athletic dude. So, like, that's that's hilarious. Oh man.
We just shouldn't even let the universe know what we want. Because it'll just be like, okay, I'm going to do the exact opposite. And those people that you really liked, we're just going to give them to your division rivals instead.
Oh man. Who picks 28th? Pittsburgh. Well, I have good news for you, racist fan rocks. One of those two really good guards, either Will Hernandez or Braden Smith, will fall to the Jaguars because the Pittsburgh Steelers are definitely not picking a guard. They are absolutely set at guard. Then again, I thought that was, I thought the Patriots were set at guard too, and I was wrong about that. But still, the Steelers are set at guard. They won't pick one. So even if the Seahawks pick one here, which they could because they need offensive line help, there'll still be a good one available for Jacksonville to pick. So you guys are in pretty good shape on paper, which, the Falcons were in good shape on paper too, and then they took Calvin fucking Ridley.
They took an eraser to that paper real quick. The only thing I know about the Jaguars is I'm a huge fan of the show The Good Place. And one of the running jokes is that they just dump on the Jaguars constantly because one of the people that's in the quote-unquote good place, because if anybody has even remote curiosity to check out the show, Kristen Bell is in it. She kills in it. And Ted Danson, who's also just wonderful. But, like, one of the people in the good place, like, loves Blake Bortles. And he's like, sooner or later they'll be Super Bowl champions. And Ted Danson's character is like, no, that's never going to happen. The Jaguars are never going to win a Super Bowl. They are terrible. So the good place just dumps on them like constantly. And there was even an article about them dumping on the Jaguars when they were actually in the playoffs, facing the Patriots. Of course, they lost the Patriots, but they even had like the creators of the show talk about that.
Fucking James in chat. Did the Miami Cavaliers draft anyone good? I love hockey. I hope my team makes it to the World Cup.
Thank you for being here, James. You are slowly nurturing my self-esteem.
God damn it, James. All right, here we go. Seahawks selection. I'm predicting either a corner or a defensive lineman.
I'm noticing a lot of these players in this draft.
Oh, shit! They took Rashad Penny! Wow!
You sound excited about that.
Well, yeah, I'm excited about it because Rashad Penny was my RB2. He was the second best running back in this class, and he got taken second among the running backs behind Barkley. So I was right about something else. And the Seahawks drafted a running back in the first round. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you say with Barkley, like, you just don't do that in the first round? So
I'm not a fan of drafting running back in the first round. The NFL obviously disagrees with my logic on that. But regardless, Rashad Penny is a Seahawk, and that is, I mean, he is a hell of a talent. He was my RB2 in this class. And before the combine, he was actually my RB1. The only reason Barkley overtook him at the combine is because Barkley's a fucking freak athlete, like incredible athlete. And Penny,
oh yeah, we watched the tape together. Barkley, dude, he's
Penny though.
elite.
The thing is, Penny is still an incredible athlete. He is still a really good athlete. He is like, Penny is a fast guy. Let me look at my my player ranking so I can tell you who my comp is for him. Let's see. Rashad Penny, 50-50 hybrid of Melvin Gordon and a guy you're familiar with, John, Tevin Coleman.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about me giving grades when we were watching tape. If I'm not mistaken, I gave Barkley a 10. Like,
yeah, Barkley was your only 10. Yeah. And Penny,
yeah.
you gave Penny an 8 out of 10. So you liked Penny too.
Yeah, I was definitely high on Penny from what I remember, which honestly, I've been processing so many different kinds of information. A lot of the stuff is vague at this point, if I'm being truthful. But yeah, Barkley is elite. Like the tape I watched, it was scary. Good luck, everybody else. Yeah. And Penny was solid. From what I remember, which may not be much, I don't know. But if I gave an 8 out of 10, I must have thought, yeah, they were solid, and they definitely had some flashes of brilliance. So good for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Man. And now we are moving right along. The Steelers are on the clock, folks.
I'll tell you guys what. Saquon Barkley is going to be running behind a pretty mediocre offensive line this coming year. I don't know. I think Seattle's offensive line might be a little better. I think Rashad Penny might be a little bit better of a fantasy football investment this year than Saquon Barkley, depending. I don't know. I mean, there's a good chance that Barkley will be like the clear-cut number 1 running back in New York, whereas Penny might be a part of a committee, so maybe not so much. But if both teams dedicate to their guy, their first-round pick, I think Penny could be a better value in fantasy, honestly, because Penny is a prolific runner. Penny is a guy that he averaged, like, God, I'll even do a little bit of math on you guys. Rashad Penny averaged in his final year in college about almost 30% more yards per carry than Saquon Barkley.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he Barkley at Penn State averaged 5.9 yards per carry. Rashad Penny averaged 7.5 yards per carry.
Damn.
Yeah. You know who else was up there in yards per carry in college, John?
Who was that?
Tevin Coleman, 7.8.
Oh, yeah. Pick is in for the Steelers. Jaguars are on the clock.
Oh, snap. Steelers. Oh, man. Well, we've seen in past drafts, the Steelers are very unlikely to go corner in the first. I think the only first round corner they've ever taken that I can think of is Artie Burns a few years ago, and he turned out pretty well. So I'm guessing they're going to go edge here, maybe? I don't know. It's a tough call with the Steelers. They might go slot receiver, maybe like a Christian Kirk if they like Juju on the outside. They might go tight end. Mike Gesicki would be a crazy good pick for them because Mike Gesicki is a freak athlete too, and he went to Penn State, so he wouldn't even have to move too far to go from Penn State to Pittsburgh. That would make sense.
Well, we shall see. I'm curious who the Steelers have picked. Jaguars again on the clock, and all we have remaining after that, the Vikings, the Patriots, and the Eagles, the Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, don't forget the Jaguars picking next after the pit.
And that's what I said. Yeah, Steelers, Jaguars are on the clock. And then you got the Vikings, the Patriots, the losing side of the Super Bowl. God, that feels so good to say. And the Eagles, the Super Bowl champions. Patriots have picked earlier in this draft, guys. They picked they were number 23, and they took Isaiah Wynn as a tackle. So we'll see what they do with their coming.
Apparently, he was listed as a guard on other draft coverage. It's just the NFL Network that said that he was a tackle. So I don't really know what to make of that. Either way, like either you picked a guy that isn't, you're hoping he supplants someone in year one that he might not, or he's going to be a tackle. He's not going to be a good one. But now the Steelers are picking. Here's to hoping they go Mason Rudolph.
All right.
Oh, of course, they're going to have a freaking special draft pick announcer person.
Boo!
Love it.
You know what? And then if somebody was like, but John, the kid, the announcer was a kid with cancer. I doubled down on the boo. Boo! Get off the stage. This isn't chemo.
Oh, my God.
I know James will appreciate me being an asshole. Yeah, James. Boo! Yeah. We have nothing to rally against.
And by the way, John, based on your grades, Because remember, you graded pretty much every position except for like defensive backs. You had Marcus Davenport graded as a 7 out of 10. He was the second highest graded edge rusher in your list.
And the highest was, again, remind me again?
Harold Landry, the guy that I thought they were going to pick. Oh, wow! The Steelers took Terrell Edmunds. Holy hell! Wow!
Break it down for us.
I'm shocked. I thought he was going to be like a third or a fourth round pick, man. I didn't think he was going to go late first. That's amazing. And really, I'm surprised in a happy way because I think he's worth this kind of high pick. I think Terrell Edmunds is a great player. I honestly think Terrell Edmunds is a better player at his position than his brother Tremaine was at his, and Tremaine went like 16th overall. So I think that the Steelers are getting a much better pick here than I don't even remember who took. Oh, the Bills. The Bills took Tremaine Edmunds, I think 16th overall. Wow, I can't believe they actually went with Terrell Edmunds. That is awesome, though. Terrell Edmunds is another freaky athlete in this class, and he produced in college. And really, I just really like this guy as a player. I think he's a very good player. I'm surprised the Steelers took him, though, because I thought they were happy with their safeties.
All right. Well, good for the Steelers then. Glad to hear you hyped about it. And again, Jaguars are on the clock. Man, I am really curious who the Super Bowl champions, the Eagles, are going to pick. I mean, you have a Super Bowl to your name, it's got to feel good. But at the same time, I mean, no. Let me ask again, just as a refresher, since we're really late in the draft now. We're almost at the tail end of it. I'm assuming we'll probably get out here like closer to midnight. The Eagles, like, they've watched a lot of good players go by, but maybe not even necessarily what they need. What would be what athlete? I'll put it to you that way. What name would you like to hear come out of Goodell's mouth for the Eagles?
I feel like we already went over this, man. I'm not entirely sure because they have such a deep roster, so it's hard to say what they quote unquote need. Really, I'm surprised Connor Williams hasn't come off the board. It wouldn't surprise me if they took him. Brian O'Neill is another possibility. He's another guy who, like their current left tackle, Jason Peters, who, like I told you earlier, is almost 40, was a tight end when he got to college and converted to tackle. And he's a very athletic guy. And so really, if anyone was going to teach him how to be an NFL left tackle, Jason Peters makes sense. So I could see it being Brian O'Neill, an offensive tackle. Really, left tackle is their biggest need. They're pretty set at linebacker. They're very set on the defensive line. They're pretty good, pretty well off at safety and corner. Obviously, they're two quarterbacks deep now. They have freaking Carson Wentz, who was on pace to be the MVP of the NFL last year before he got hurt. And they have Nick Foles, who was the MVP of the Super Bowl last year. So they're set at quarterback. They have a ton of talent in the running back room, but they don't really have that true number one workhorse running back. So I could see them go RB. They might go wide receiver, but I kind of doubt that because they do have some talent at wide receiver still, and they have talent at tight end. So really, they have very few true needs. I would say their only true need right now is left tackle, and even then, it's a future guy. Like, it's a guy who will take over when their current left tackle either retires or gets injured, because their current left tackle is an elite player when he's on the field. He's just older and relatively injury prone. So that's a
pick is in for the Jaguars, by the way, folks.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's going to be a guard. It's just a matter of whether it's Will Hernandez or Braden Smith. If it's Will Hernandez, I know a guy in the in the NFL draft Discord who is going to lose his shit in a very positive way. He loves Will Hernandez. He's a huge Jaguars fan. And like, he would absolutely flip his lid. He would be ecstatic. So Hudson is going to be, Hudson's his name in the Discord. Hudson's a guy who's going to absolutely love the pick if it's Will Hernandez. And really, if it's anyone else, I think he'd probably be very disappointed just because it means they passed on Will Hernandez. So it's Hernandez or bust for him. And I think it's either going to be Will Hernandez or Braden Smith. I think Braden Smith makes a lot of sense at this pick too. So either one, they need a guard. They need a guard really bad. They're pretty loaded at pretty much every other position. So guard it is for me.
All right. We shall see. Pick is in again. Vikings on the clock. We are nearing the end of day one of the draft. It's been quite a draft. if you're a Falcons fan, at least on this side of the table, we were pretty dejected about the pick. Calvin Ridley, wide receiver coming out of Alabama. And the two big coups for me, just being the layman and having watched the tape that I did, DJ Moore is huge for the Panthers, and Marcus Davenport for the Saints. Not bad. Not bad at all. So not looking forward to that. Oh, and of course, I should say this too. The Giants getting Barkley. That good luck to him. Good luck to him. The man's elite. So be looking forward to seeing how that goes. I might even have to watch a Giants game or two, knowing that Barkley is going to be on the field.
Oh, you know, I'll keep you clued in on Barkley and how he's doing throughout the season if you don't pay attention yourself.
Yeah, we should have a rule between us that any athlete I give a 10, that's just me telling you, yeah, keep me posted on this dude, good or bad.
There we go. Jacksonville Jaguars selection. Oh, wow. They got our guy, John. They got Taven Bryan.
Well, there you go.
Jesus Christ. How in the blue hell is any team going to throw the ball against the Jacksonville Jaguars?
They give it a wow. Okay, yeah.
Really, I think Jacksonville is like entering the arms race with the Eagles and Rams. Wrong conference, but I don't think they care, man. I think that they're entering that arms race. They just want to stack up their defense and just pass rush their asses off. And just, if we can't throw the ball, neither can anyone else. They're going to kill everyone.
So do you think this is smart then by the Jaguars?
I think this is a crazy, interesting pick, but I won't go as far as to say good. I think it's interesting because it's like they have a really strong defensive front already, and they're just doubling down on that, saying we don't want to be top 5. We want the best.
That's very interesting. I mean, again, I know, and I remember the YouTube comments when I watched highlights of the Patriots versus the Jaguars. So many Jaguars fans were so happy about the performance of the team. They said, be on the lookout for us. We're coming. We're finally starting to get to shine a little bit. I think a lot of people still believe in Blake Bortles as a quarterback. And then you make a move like this that you won't call it good, but you do call it interesting. That is the word you're kind of sticking with.
I mean, now, here's the thing. I will say he is a good player. I definitely 100% think he is going to be a great player in the NFL. The reason I won't commit to saying it's a good pick is because it's a redundant pick. It's because they have excellent talent at the position they drafted him to play already. He will probably be a major contributor and make them go from elite to somehow even more elite. I don't really know how much better you can get once you're already elite. But, I mean, yeah, he's going to be a good player. There's very little doubt in my mind about that.
Pick is in for the Vikings. We're just moving right along here. We're looking to wrap this up.
Yeah. The Vikings need offensive line help. I think Braden Smith makes a lot of sense to them. Man, they have a tight end. They have receivers. They have a guy that they see as their quarterback. They have their running back. I don't think that they need much skill position help. They could go offensive line, which is why I said Braden Smith. I know that the fans of the Vikings want them to get a defensive lineman, maybe Maurice Hurst, someone like that. I think they're set at corner and safety. So maybe a strong safety. Justin Reed, I think, is still on the board. He could go to the Vikings. He makes some sense because he's got the versatility that they really like out of their safety. So maybe Justin Reed. I think the most likely pick is Braden Smith with a distinct possibility of Will Hernandez also existing. So one of those three guys. It's going to be either Justin Reed, Braden Smith, or Will Hernandez. We'll see.
Yeah, all right. I mean, these picks now are starting to come in like rapid fire because Vikings, I feel like, weren't even on the clock very long. Now the Patriots are going to have to ruminate.
You know what would be a really interesting pick for the Vikings, though, that would really possibly put them over the top?
Yeah.
Courtland Sutton, because right now they have two really, really good wide receivers, but they're both, more possession guys. Like Diggs is more of a speed guy, and Thielen is more of a slot possession guy. They don't have that true number 1X, and Sutton could be that. So I'm curious. They may maybe go Sutton, but Viking selection. Oh, they went corner. They went Mike Hughes. That's kind of a boring pick. They have invested a lot in their secondary, though, so they're really counting on that defense doing work this season. So really, I think Mike Hughes is a safe pick. I think Mike Hughes is going to be solid, maybe not excellent, but probably pretty good. They already have Xavier Rhodes on one side. They already have Trey Waynes. I don't know if Terrence Newman is still playing. That dude's like 40 years old, but he still played. He was still playing great last I checked. I think they just drafted Mackenzie Alexander a couple years ago. So like the Vikings are investing a ton of draft equity into their secondary. And now Mike Hughes joining the squad. I like Mike Hughes, but I don't love Mike Hughes. I think he's a good but not great player. I'm not super convinced he's going to be anything more than like just a really good second cornerback. I don't think he's going to supplant Xavier Rhodes by any means, but I do think he's going to be a good player who can probably start across from Xavier Rhodes.
All right. So we are just moving along here. Patriots on the clock. So we've got the losers, the challengers of the Super Bowl that came up short, or second place, I guess if you want to put it succinctly. And then lastly, the Super Bowl champions, the Eagles. I'll tell you, as a filthy casual, it's still just weird for me to see the Patriots going second to last in a draft pick. But it's weird in the best possible way. I'm grinning from ear to ear. And yeah, I want to thank everybody that stuck with us the whole way through. We've stayed pretty consistent at 11 viewers. I appreciate you guys listening to Ashton's analysis and me trying. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So let's see here. No, Patriots still on the clock. Looking at the chat reaction, Vikings fans seem pretty happy with their pick.
Patriots, I think they need to go left tackle here. I mean, I'm not convinced that Isaiah Wynn is meant to be a tackle. I think he's meant to be a guard. I think they want him to take over for Shaq Mason at right guard, and whether that happens this year or if they seriously let him sit for an entire rookie season and then just start him next year, I don't know. But they need a left tackle, and I think they really need that guy, and I think they might go Connor Williams here.
All right, we'll see. We'll see if you're you have that mental uplink with the Patriots.
I haven't had mental uplink with any team for a while, man. It's been a while since I've nailed a pick.
Well, I mean, there's always. I mean, you got two teams left to change those wins. You know, to change the direction of it all. So we will see. And let me go down here. Nope, still on there. They're taking their time. They're milking that clock. They're like, hey, you know, this is important. We're not fucking around with this one. And so far, Ash, I mean, I'll probably ask you again at the end. I mean, because maybe the Patriots and the Eagles could really pull out something great here. But so far, looking at everything, who do you think is the big winner of day one of the draft? Who do you think really got a pick that really pops, that fit their scheme, and just et cetera, et cetera? Who do you think is the big winner of today?
I just got to go with the easy pick. The Browns. They got Baker Mayfield, man. That's the best pick of the draft right there. Baker Mayfield is the quarterback in this class that I feel has the best chance of being an all-pro at his position. And he was the number one player on my board, and he went number one overall, and they landed him. Denzel Ward was an excellent pick at 4. They got the corner that they needed to, pair up across from Jamar Taylor. I think that the Browns are going to be much better this year than people expect. They might even make the playoffs, although it's a little bit of a reach. I could see, I think at minimum, the Browns win 7 games this year, especially knowing that their quarterback is guaranteed to be either Tyrod Taylor, who I do like, or Baker Mayfield. Like, that's a win-win right there. The Browns are in great position to win this year. Their coaches could always fuck it up because their coaches are full-blown incompetent, but I think they're built in such a way that it would be a lot more difficult to fail than it would be to succeed at this point.
Well, the pick is in for the Patriots. I probably won't even bother asking you the biggest winner even after these 2 picks because, Baker Mayfield was number 1 and the Browns got him. However, I am going to save the biggest loser or losers, if you'd prefer, after these 2 picks. This way we have everybody in. There's no ambiguity about it. I think I have an idea if we could go with the biggest loser of the draft, but again, I'm going to wait for the 2 picks.
Buffalo!
That wasn't even who I was thinking, but okay. But again, we'll revisit that question after the Patriots and the Eagles have picked, because I definitely want to dissect your brain about that. Yeah, these are interesting times, folks. Interesting times.
Yeah.
As the Patriots now going to make their last pick of the day. We're still going to have to wait a little bit. You guys know how it goes. Takes a little bit of time.
There's Troy Aikman talking his bullshit. I don't know what he's saying, but he's probably spouting bullshit.
Essentially, I don't know what he's saying, but he's a mark, so fuck off.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And I'm keeping close eye on my NFL website here. They're streaming the draft free, so just the moment they switch over to Goodell, and I'm seeing the pick is in the background.
Yeah, man, the pick has been in for a little while now. It's just a matter of waiting.
Yeah.
I think Goodell might be approaching the podium now. Yeah, there he is. Okay, yeah, Goodell is approaching the podium now finally to actually announce the pick. 31st pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select.
I love that Goodell still gets booed at like
wow. They went with Sony Michel. Dude, the Patriots drafted a running back in the first round.
That's a name and we haven't even talked about, have we? Did we even watch it?
You gave him an 8 out of 10, man. He was your second highest rated running back.
See, I'm telling you, man, dude, I've had so much on my mind since then.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. He wasn't your second rated. He was tied for your third highest rated with Rashad Penny, because your second highest rated running back was Darius Geis. You really liked him, and he might be the Eagles pick. We might see 2 running backs in a row to close the night out. We might see Darius Geis to Philly. That would not surprise me one bit.
So, you said, wait, just again, I'm trying to keep everything accounted for. So I apologize if I'm repeating or if I'm making an omission or whatever. Didn't you say that the Patriots needed a left tackle and they go a running back?
Yep.
Yeah, that seems a bit odd, don't you think?
Yeah, it's fucking stupid, man. It makes no sense. I'm telling you, they lost their freaking mojo. The dynasty is dead.
So, I mean, well, let me ask you this. I'm going to put you in the hot seat because now the Eagles are picking and they're the defending Super Bowl champions. Are the Patriots even going to make it to the Super Bowl this season, do you think?
No.
I know it's probably too early to tell.
I think there are 2 teams right now that I'm looking at as more like 3 teams right now that I'm looking at as more likely to make the Super Bowl in 2018, which the Super Bowl would take place in 2019.
Yeah.
Patriots in the AFC, not even in the whole league, just in the AFC. The Jaguars, the Titans, and the Steelers. And
wow, so Patriots aren't even in the conversation for you, at least as far as the AFC is concerned. That's something.
I'll even toss in a little extra. The Chiefs I would say the Chiefs are more likely to make the Super Bowl this year than the Patriots are.
Wow. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. The dynasty is dead. That should really be the big headline coming out of this. The dynasty is dead. And I'll be interested to see if that's true because I would love, and I know a lot of other football fans, I'm telling you, look, as a casual, I don't know much, but in the hype up for the playoffs and stuff, I did watch a good bit of tape, on all sides. People are sick of the Patriots. They feel like the Patriots going over and over to the championship game has killed the fun of football for them. If we get a non-Patriot Super Bowl, just 2 completely different teams, that's going to be interesting to think about and to talk about. So yeah, I mean, Patriots, very interesting first day.
Oh shit! The Ravens just traded into the first round. The Ravens are trading up. They just traded. The Eagles are no longer picking 32nd overall. It's the Ravens. Dude, if the Ravens go quarterback here, it could be either Lamar Jackson or Mason Rudolph. I'm pulling for Rudolph. I know Lamar Jackson is the better story. I don't give a shit. Rudolph is the better player, and I always root for the NFL to make good decisions, even though they don't always do that. If the goddamn Ravens want to make a good decision here, they need to get Mason Rudolph. If they want to make a cute decision that their fan base is going to be a fan of and that'll be exciting, but it won't actually cause them to become Super Bowl contenders, they'll go with Lamar Jackson or some other position.
Well, I did see earlier watching my NFL stream, I saw people reading tweets from other fans saying, oh, these franchises are sleeping on Lamar Jackson. But you're saying that Ravens should go with a cornerback. And
no, I said quarterback.
Oh, quarterback QB. And you said Mason Rudolph was the name, right? That you said?
Yeah. That's if they do go quarterback here, I think that their best bet would be Mason Rudolph. But if they want to just be like, oh, let's give the fans something to cheer for and just be exciting and not actually win a Super Bowl, then they go Lamar Jackson.
So Eagles aren't picking it all today then?
No. They traded out of the first round entirely.
I feel like in the time I've been watching with you, and again, this is my third year watching the draft with you, I can't ever remember defending Super Bowl champions giving up their first round draft pick on day one. So that's interesting for me. I wonder what the Eagles got out of the deal.
That happens. That's not an uncommon thing.
Oh, I bet it's not an uncommon thing. I'm just saying, since I've been watching, I don't ever recollect seeing that kind of maneuver. Like, I'll see it in, like, the middle of the field or even, like, early on in the field. But when you get, like, that late, I don't ever remember seeing that. I mean, maybe it did.
You know what? Interestingly enough, though, the Ravens, I don't know how early their second-round pick is. Their second-round pick might be, like, 48th overall. So the Eagles might have just traded down really far, which makes me really wonder what kind of compensation they got in return for trading down.
Yeah, that's very.
My God. Well, dude, the Ravens got Lamar Jackson. The Ravens are that's another one. I'm going to say this. The dynasty is dead. The Ravens dynasty is dead, and the Patriots dynasty is dead. We're witnessing history being made here, brother.
Wow. Abel's not going to like hearing that on the playback.
The Ravens got a 25-year-old undersized, unathletic tight end with the 25th overall pick. And then they got a quarterback who is a below average passer with the 32nd pick and traded up to get him. So to me, I'm calling it a day. The Ravens are not contenders right now. And it's really sad too, because I genuinely liked a lot of the picks that they made last year in the draft. I genuinely liked their picks of Marlon Humphrey and Tyus Bowser and Chris Wormley and Nico Siragusa last year. But you come in here this year and you draft a 25-year-old, undersized, unathletic tight end, which is not a valuable position, 25th overall, and then you trade up into the first round to get a quarterback who is a below average passer. I'm sorry, Ravens, but I got to call it. That's it. The dynasty's dead.
Oh, well, this is going to be a very interesting conversation to ensue between you and Abel down the road, I'm sure.
And I'll tell you what, too. Ozzie Newsome is retiring after this year, and it's a damn good thing because he left them with a heap of trash for a first round this year.
All right. Well, now that those picks are in, that's the end of round one, guys. So I only have one more question for you, Ash, and I promised you we were going to visit this territory after all the picks were made. We already said the biggest winner. I'm sure you're sticking with the Browns after these picks. The biggest,
honestly, dude, I mean, the Browns are a winner. I mean, really, I hate to say this, but I would say the biggest winner is Carolina because they got, like what I said, the best wide receiver prospect since Amari Cooper in 2015. Amari Cooper went like 3rd overall, and they got DJ Moore 24th overall. Didn't have to trade up, didn't have to give anything up to get him. They just got an amazing wide receiver to pair with their young, talented quarterback, to pair with their electric young running back. They are a scary looking team right now. And there's plenty of guard talent left, so they could get one of them in the second round or third. They got Deshaun Hall last year, who was probably my favorite prospect in that class. So this is basically 2 years in a row that the Panthers have taken my favorite player personally in the draft. And yeah, man, I think the Panthers are looking like they are going to step up big time this year.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's give some breathing room since you are like, you've got all the knowledge here and I'm just like being the questions. Top three on each side. So biggest winners. It sounds like you'd have Panthers coming in at number one. Would Browns be number two? I would say, the Panthers would be number one. I would say the Browns number two. And you know what? Just for the simplicity, just for the staying put, you traded down earlier in the year to get a little extra value. You stayed put. You took the guy that made the most sense. I would say number three would be the Colts for getting Quentin Nelson 6th overall. Okay. And now for the three biggest losers, I'm going to be interested in this. So the number one biggest loser far and away to me is the Bills, because you got Josh Allen, who's trash, and you got Tremaine Edmonds, who
he's okay, but I don't think he's going to translate very well in the NFL. And he's really more just a project than a complete package right now. Tremaine Edmonds is the Roman Reigns of linebackers. Like, he's a guy who maybe in a few years he could be good, but they're pushing him to the forefront immediately, and it's too early for him. And then number 2 biggest loser, I would say, would be the Cardinals, because you traded up to get the most fragile quarterback in this class to pair with the most fragile quarterback in the NFL. So you have the most fragile quarterback room in the NFL now. And I don't think Rosen is even if you took away the injury concerns, I don't think he's a good enough quarterback to warrant moving up to 10 for. So Rosen, I think, is going to be a huge disappointment. And then, the third, I would say the Ravens would be the third biggest losers with Hayden Hurst and Lamar Jackson. Like, you traded back, which is a plus, but then in order to get Jackson, you traded way up from the second round. So that's a big minus. And the players that you got were just awful. So yeah, I would say 3 biggest losers in this draft would be the Bills, the Cardinals, and the Ravens.
Okay, so the Patriots do miss out on being one of your biggest losers, because they're normally seem like
just barely. If it was a top 5, they'd probably be up there, but not top 3.
Right. Okay. I wanted to keep it to 3 because you know what? That's it keeps it simple, and it really just magnifies who really are the biggest losers here. So I know
if we were doing like top 7 or 8, the Falcons would have been on the biggest losers list. But I mean, it's not a good pick, but it's not like they gave up a ton to get that guy, and it's not like he's like this horrible, awful, like he's going to be absolutely nothing in the NFL kind of player. I just don't think he has a high ceiling. So yeah, that's like, they are losers for taking him, but they're not losers in the sense that they didn't give up a bunch of stuff to get him. And, he's probably going to be good, but not great. And that kind of, like, there are a lot of different kind of things that you can say about Calvin Ridley that makes the Falcons, unfortunate, but not in the horrible shape.
Well, I can tell you, I went on Abel's Twitter, and he does seem very stoked about Lamar Jackson. So,
that's the thing. Lamar Jackson is an exciting player. It's like the Michael Vick thing. There was a quote that I remember from like 2010 that said Michael Vick made the Falcons exciting. Matt Ryan made the Falcons relevant. Lamar Jackson makes the Ravens exciting. Mason Rudolph would have made them relevant.
Yeah, and Abel just tweeted again. I mean, oh man, one of us is gonna have to break this to him. He said, Ravens made a lot of moves in the first round and we were able to get our future quarterback. Incredible. So yeah, so far the fans seem stoked. We'll see how it plays out. But obviously,
I coined a term for that last year, and I don't even remember what I call it. But there is a phenomenon that happens every single year, where no matter what you thought about a player before the draft, if your team takes that guy during the draft, you start looking for reasons to like him. And all of a sudden, the guy that you hated 24 hours ago, you're warming up to him, and maybe you even kind of like him. And it's like there is this massive bias that it's like a switch that goes off in people's heads, where when their team gets a guy, they would, regardless of what they thought before the draft, all of a sudden that guy was the best pick. All of a sudden it was a great decision, and then they love the pick, and they go out of their way to justify the pick, even if they couldn't get behind the pick prior to the draft. And it's a sensation and a phenomenon that happens every year. It happened with the Falcons fan base last year with Takars McKinley. It happened with the Redskins fan base last year with Ryan Anderson. There were some horrible picks. I mean, even the Chargers fan base last year with Mike Williams. There were some horrible picks that people who are already fans of that team justified with bullshit, small sample size reasons because it's their team. And in order for them to accept that they are fans of this team, they need to convince themselves that the front office of that team is competent and isn't steering them in the wrong direction. So they play mental gymnastics to convince themselves that the front office made a good decision, regardless of whether the decision was actually good or not.
All right. Well, yeah. So essentially, like, I know you said you coined a term, but what it sounds like to me is it's a lot of confirmation bias going on in the fan base. kind of feel better about their team's
No,
draft.
see, the thing is, confirmation bias means like you think one thing about a player, and no matter how much extra information comes in, you don't change your mind. That's
so you're talking more about an about face because you were saying they hate the player originally, and then when they came into their camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Well, regardless, I mean, that was the draft, and I've really got nothing else to ask you. Again, I want to thank everybody that stayed all the way through because we had a pretty consistent audience here throughout. I'm very grateful. So I'm just going to hand the reins over to you to kind of take us home and give any final thoughts on this draft, since, I mean, this really was just like us getting to pick your brain here a little bit. So it's
Absolutely.
all you, brother.
It was a lot of fun, guys. We're not going to be going live with anything tomorrow. I'm just going to be watching the draft in the comfort of my own home. Probably pretty silently, I'm thinking, because I need to recover my voice because I'm losing it a little bit. But yeah, it was a fun first round. I think, honestly, the most interesting pick to me was from Terrell Edmunds to the Steelers, because that was like the big surprise first round pick, because I know a lot of people thought he was like a third, fourth round kind of guy. And I actually was really high on him. He ran incredibly well. He had great jumps. He had a great size. Really, he checked a lot of boxes. And I was surprised he was projected so low. And then we get around to the actual draft, and surprise, surprise, Pittsburgh says, no, we want him now, 28th overall. That might have been my favorite, like the big surprise of the draft to me was Terrell Edmunds going to the Steelers. I really like that pick. I think he's going to be a really good player for them, really good strong safety. So that's an interesting pick. And I've got a lot of thoughts. Really, anytime you draft a running back or a 2-down run stuffing nose tackle in the first round, I think it's a bad pick. So immediately we're going to say Giants with Barkley, bad pick. Tampa with Vita Vea, bad pick. Redskins with Daron Payne, bad pick. Seahawks with Rashad Penny, bad pick. Patriots with Sony Michel, bad pick. So that's 5 teams right there immediately. Just what the hell are you doing? But yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. I'm losing my voice though. I guess unless you have anything else that you wanted to say or let people in on or know or anything at all, we could just close this out and I'll see you later.
No, I got no other comments to make. Not really looking forward to seeing how our division's gonna play out, because I'm really terrified of DJ Moore and Davenport. Even though I scored a bit on the lower end, I was still high on him overall. So that's going to be terrifying. And yeah, I'm very excited for Barkley and the Giants. That was one of my 10s. So hopefully he's as elite as he looks, when it comes game time. And yeah, happy 2018 season, everybody. We'll be seeing you again in a few months for that beautiful, beautiful football. I mean, of course, we won't be covering it. I mean, more from the fan perspective. We'll be watching these games unfold. But yeah, now it's just the wait to September. And I'll be very curious to hear Quinn and Dimitrov, right, is the name of the other guy in our
yeah.
Yeah,
that's our general manager.
I'll be very curious how they spin this shit. All right, guys, thank you all for joining us.
It's easy to spin Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is, the smoothest route runner in this class. He was held back by the scheme. He didn't have a good quarterback, but he still put up 1,000 yards in 2015. It's really easy to spin, but when you look at the traits that actually matter, arbitrary bullshit like, oh, he runs good routes, he gets open a lot, which may or may not be true. When you actually look at the shit that matters, it's not a good pick. He has a very low ceiling. My official NFL comp for him was Sterling Shepard, and Sterling Shepard is another guy contributed right away. So he's going to be a quick guy. He's going to contribute to the team this year. He's going to be a good player for us this year. But he's never going to develop into anything more than what he is this year.
Right. So we're already getting him at his best, is essentially.
Pretty much. Yeah. He is peaked. Like, he already peaked. Like, he is right now what he's ever going to be. He's not going to become this amazing top-notch receiver. He lacks the athleticism to do that. But he does have good deep speed. He is going to take the top off defenses. Sanu is probably going to move into the slot now, which is, I think, good for him. So yeah, I mean, it's a net positive for our offense, but long term, which is what fucking matters during the draft, it's not a good pick.
All right. Well, with that said, you can take us home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not even going to plug anything. All the information is probably on some other video, because if you're here for the draft, you probably don't give a shit about wrestling. Or if you're here for the draft and you already like wrestling, you probably already subscribe and follow us everywhere. So not even gonna bother plugging that shit. Just remember to enjoy the rest of the draft, and we will see you guys. If you're here for the wrestling stuff, then we'll see you on either Tuesday for Progress or Wednesday for NXT. And if you're just here for NXT, NFL coverage, then I guess we'll see you next year for the first round of the draft. Either way, though, remember to stay tuned, and we'll see you then.